The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast with Lookers Motor Group. Land Rover Glasgow North has relocated to join Jaguar at a new retail space. The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Well, what a start it was to things in the League Cup today. Rangers 2, Morton 1. It went right to the end, but Rangers pulled through with a victory. They're through to the last 8. They'll be in the quarter-finals, and we'll see across the weekend who else will join them and Aberdeen, who of course beat Stirling Albion 2-1 last night. There are plenty of 3 o'clock kickoffs as well. Let's go around the grounds and get some team news and build-up. Let's start in Paisley. David Friel watching St Mirren Motherwell.
Yeah, Andrew, I know I'm biased sitting in the Paisley sunshine here, but I think this might be the tie of the round. All the ingredients here to be an absolute cracker. The pitch is perfect, and we've also got 2 good teams coming into the game in good form. St Mirren obviously have 6 points from 2 league games, Motherwell have 4. And we also have 2 managers, Stephen Robinson and Stuart Kettlewell, who have been extremely bullish about their hopes in this tournament after topping their group sections. I think they've made it clear they want to be challenging a lot of stages, they want to be getting semi-finals and finals well. Their ViaPlay Cup hopes are going on the line today, so much at stake, and a place in the quarter-final up for grabs. Motherwell lost here in January, but prior to that were unbeaten in their previous 8 visits to Paisley, so they have a good record here. And obviously with Stephen Robinson going up against his former club in Motherwell, there's always added spice to this fixture. So I think this will be a really, really good game. St Mirren, unsurprisingly, have stuck with the team that beat Dundee last week. Captain Mark O'Hara, he's still out injured. It's going to be a 3-4-2-1 formation. Zach Hemming in goals, Marcus Fraser, Alec Gogic and Richard Taylor at the back. Midfield 4 of Ryan Strain, Keanu Bacchus, Caelan Boyd Munce and Scott Tanza, with Conor McMenamin and Greg Kelty in behind Mikael Mandron, who leads the line against his former club. Subs for St Mirren are Minsky, Kenny, Bolton, Dunn, Flynn, Olasanya, Jameson, Grieve and Namani. As for Motherwell, few changes here. Shane Blaney is in for Papi Suare, and Davor Dravkovsky replaces 16-year-old Lennon Miller. Lennon Miller also been very, very good. His dad's actually just behind me, Lee, sitting here watching the game for another broadcaster. I'm not really that surprised he's taken him out of the fire line. Stuart Kettlewell, you know, he's been a very, very good player so far this season, but he is only 16. This is going to be a pretty hectic cup tie, so maybe it is right just to rest him. Surprisingly though, Mika Beret, who came on against Hibs last week and was so good, he stays on the bench. So it's a 3-4-1-2 for Motherwell. Liam Kelly in goals. Back to your Paul McGinn, Davis Mugabe and Dan Casey. Stephen O'Donnell, Callum Slattery, Davor Dravkovsky and Shane Blaney across the middle, with Blair Spittle in behind Conor Wilkinson and Theo Bear. Subs for Motherwell are Oxborough, Lamy, Efford McGinley, Wilson, Ferry, Miller, Garcia and Bearett. And the referee is Willie Collum, and there is no VAR here today.
Tie of the round, says David Friel. Would you agree, Hugh?
Well, the Kilmarnock fans might disagree with that, with Celtic to come to Rugby Park tomorrow, but I do take David's point that it is an outstanding all-Premiership game. The crowds this season have been first class. I think there'll be another big one at Paisley today, and you've got 2 managers in Stephen Robinson and Stuart Kettlewell who are really on top of their game. Therefore, it's very, very hard to call. It's just a matter of gut instinct. And for me, my gut instinct says St Mirren.
Yeah, 2 teams in good form. Looking forward to that one. Let's go to the Tony Macaroni Arena. Livingston against Ayr United. It's Dave Galloway.
Well, Livingston may have home advantage and be a league above Ayr United, Andrew, but manager Davy Martindale insists there's not much between these 2 teams. Last weekend's 4-0 loss at Tybrox will have been quickly swept aside. That's the sort of result that will probably happen a good few times this season. And Livy are always tough to play against on their own patch. Their goalless draw against Aberdeen here recently highlighted just that. Ayr, though, come here in confident mood, having got their first championship win on the board last weekend against Inverness. And they've shown this season they have what it takes to see off a top-flight side, having won 2-1 away to St Johnstone in the group stage. And boss Lee Bullen is relishing what he sees as an exciting challenge here this afternoon. To the teams then, and a couple of changes for Livingston. In come James Penrice and Curtis Guthrie. Out drop Jamie Brandon and Mo Sangari. So it's Shamal George in goals, a back 3 of Louis De Lucas, Ayo Obelai and Mikey Devlin. Across the middle, James Penrice, Stephen Kelly, Jason Holt, Andrew Shinnie and Christian Montano. Up top they will have Curtis Guthrie and Joel Newbley. The subs, Hamilton, Bradley, Boys, Mackay, Welsh Hayes, Anderson, Pittman, Lowell and Brandon. no fewer than 5 changes for the honest men. Robbie Much, Frankie Masonda, Ollie Penbury, Akeem Rose and Aidan McGeady are in. Out drop Charlie Albinson, Franny Armati, Ben Dempsey, Sam Ashford and Fraser Bryden. So it's Robbie Much in goals. At the back, Nick McAllister, George Stanger, Sean McGinty and Paddy Redding. In the middle, Mark McKenzie, Paul Smith, Frankie Masonda, Ollie Penbury and Aidan McGeady, with Jamaican forward Akeem Rose leading the line. The subs for them, Albinson, Aoui, Watret, Armati, Bryden, Tomlinson, Ecripoint, Ashford and Logan Chalmers signed today back on loan from Dundee United. There's no VAR here, but Kevin Clancy is the referee.
Yeah, Premiership against Championship game there, and another one at the Excelsior Stadium, Airdrieonians against Ross County. Lindsay Heron watching that one.
Yeah, well, if there's one place Ross County might have wanted to avoid, Andrew, in the last 16, it's New Broomfield. The Diamonds have been sparkling in the ViaPlay Cup, winning all of their group games, including against Dundee. And that comes on the back of Premiership scalps in each of the last 2 seasons in this competition, in the shape of St Mirren and Motherwell. They've got a bit of backbone too, coming from a goal down last week to beat Partick Thistle to record their first win since returning to the Championship. Unfortunately though, of course, Rhys McCabe hasn't made it after suffering a knee injury in that game. But the player boss is promising to have a real go here, insisting he doesn't do a containing game. Murray Aitken is the man who will come in for the manager, and Gabby McGill gets a slot in place of Josh O'Connor. So they'll line up in a 4-4-2 formation. Goalkeeper is Josh Ray, a back four of Craig Watson, Callum Fordyce, Aaron Taylor-Sinclair and Cammy Ballantyne. In the middle it's Murray Aitken, Adam Frizzell, Gabby McGill and Dean McMaster. And the front two are Callum Gallagher and Lewis McGregor. On the bench for the Diamonds, Davy Hutton, Hancock, Josh O'Connor, Todorov, Dunlop, Telfer, Cassidy and Fellows. Well, as far as County are concerned, they've only been to the last 8 once since they famously won the trophy back in 2015-16. So Malcolm Mackay will definitely see this as a major opportunity to go deep this season. He makes one change and it's an enforced one, with Kyle Turner coming in for Jan Danda, who was injured in last week's win over St Johnstone. They're also going on a 4-4-2 today. Ross Laidlaw, of course, in goal. A back four of James Brown, Jack Baldwin, Ryan Leake and George Harmon. In the middle it's Kyle Turner, Connor Randall, Victor Luturi and Josh Sims, with Simon Murray and Jordan White up front. On the bench for the Staggies it's Murray, Sheaf, Henderson, McKinnon, Tilson, Brophy, Smith and Reid. And our referee today, who doesn't have any VAR of course, is Stephen McLean.
Well, more build up to those games and plenty of reaction to come from Ibrox next.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
10 minutes away from the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the ViaPlay Cup last 16. St Mirren, Motherwell, Airdrieonians, Ross County and Livingston Ayr United. We'll see who join Rangers in the draw for the next round after their 2-1 win against Morton today. And of course it was a 2-1 win for Aberdeen against Stirling Albion last night. We'll keep you up to date on those games. Let's go back to Ibrox though. Roger Hanna is down speaking to Michael Beale, and we'll bring some of that to you in the not too distant future. But let's speak to Alex Ray. Alex, what is the biggest takeaway from the game for you today?
Well, I would say that Matondo was very positive in the first half. Andrew, I'm looking at various players who get an opportunity to showcase what they could do today. I don't think there was anyone who actually took that opportunity to say to the manager, I should be part of that game. So I think overall it was an underwhelming performance from the Rangers team today. From Morton point of view, I thought they were very well organised and stayed in the game right up to the dying seconds, and they'll feel as if they gave a very good account of themselves today. But you know, the one thing I was saying to Roger during the half-time break was that the actual subs are actually making big impacts. If you look at last week as well, when they made the changes on 78 minutes, a couple of them managed to get goals, and then obviously you had Danilo coming on late on today and getting the match winner. That's him get a couple of goals in his last 3 games I think it is now, so he's starting to kind of showcase what he can do as well. So you know, I think overall, you know, they're in the next round of the hat, but I can't imagine that Michael Beale will come out after the game and say he was happy with the overall performance.
Yeah, you say, you know, the changes are being made and they're working. Does the focus then switch to essentially the starting lineups and how the team are being set up to go out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we obviously touched on Tavernier, Barisic, Cantwell and Raskin not available. Ryan Jack as well wasn't there today, so these guys are pivotal to the way that Rangers actually tried to play. I understood when they went back to a back three, you have to give the manager credit for that, because what they did is they went with Lundstrom at right centre back, which allowed them to get on the ball very comfortable and then throw another body forward, and ultimately they managed to get the goals which actually win the tie. But as I said, I don't think the performance was anything what they were actually looking for. I think they were coming in here today, some of these guys would be coming into the squad thinking, right, okay, we've got an opportunity to rack up a decent score here, generate plenty of confidence, but it didn't quite feel that. The balance, the way that the actual team performed today didn't really warrant any of that positivity prior to the game that they've been hoping for.
The positive Michael Beale can take is that he managed to rest the likes of James Tavernier and Borna Barisic, Todd Cantwell and Nicholas Raskin, got the win heading into what is a big game next week.
Yeah, and if you think about the performances through the week, I always felt as if there would be opportunities to mix it up today, and he did that, and I would imagine that all 4 or 5 of the guys will most certainly come back into the mix against PSV here on Tuesday night. And again, it's who does he go with from the rest, really. I think Cifuentes will most certainly be there. I think Ryan Jack will probably come into the middle of the park, and then you'll have Raskin as well. Cantwell most certainly at the top end of the pitch. For the amount of firepower that they brought in, the kind of combinations, I just felt as if there would be a lot more at the top end of the pitch, and I think that's where they're actually struggling. They construct the ball into that final third, and there's just not enough end product. And when the ball does come in, they're not ruthless enough. Even if you go back to the opening game against Servette, the chances that they created there, which was encouraging and positive, they just didn't put the game to bed. And it's one of the things I feel as if Rangers are lacking at the moment is that cutting edge, ruthless, and then just put teams to bed.
Yeah, a lot of money spent on Lammers and Dessers, both started today, but the man that looked most lively in the first half was Rabbi Matondo.
Well, without doubt, he was the only bright spot of the first half. If you take Cantwell out of that team, they lack a heartbeat, and he was sorely missed today. Matondo, it remains to be seen whether he's in the Rangers squad for the game against the PSV Eindhoven. He wasn't in the UEFA squad for Servette, but he definitely added another dimension to the side. I thought that Hadji did that as well when he came on late in the game. Substitutions being made by Michael Beale to prove that those who he'd started with were not up to it.
Alex, was there an energy missed in midfield with no Cantwell and Raskin?
Yeah, I think when you look at the positivity of the opening games of the season, it's most certainly came for the two guys. They're Cantwell can play in his 8 as well. Raskin can play there, and Cantwell can step forward one. So you most certainly do. And I wholeheartedly agree with you there. I thought out of the substitutes that come on today, I thought Hadji showed a real intent. He looked as if he was hungry. He wanted to get on the ball, and some of the actions he did were really positive. And that's what you're looking for as a Rangers fans in here today. They're looking for guys to go and take the game to lesser opposition, and he most certainly will enhance his chances of playing more game time. Whether has done enough to start on Tuesday, I'm not quite sure, but the one thing, he was most certainly a standout when he came off the bench.
Well, thank you to Alex. We'll let you get on your way because the 3 o'clock kickoffs are coming up next.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Action as it happens, and your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Just about to get underway across the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the ViaPlay Cup. St Mirren against Motherwell, Airdrieonians against Ross County and Livingston against Ayr United. What one sticks out to you? Is it St Mirren, Motherwell?
St Mirren, Motherwell for obvious reasons, but I think both of them have started reasonably well this season. St Mirren looking good again under Stephen Robinson, but Motherwell, I'm surprised by the way, new signing Boyett scored last week on the bench for Motherwell, but I think that's the pick of the bunch. Yeah, he looked good player.
Yeah, it looked really, he changed the game. Stuart Kettle might just be bedding him in. He's a young lad, but I tell you what, he made a big impression when he come on. Unfortunately, I missed it. I'd left the game by that time, but I caught the highlights. I think there's three very potential good games there. Livingston, Ayr United. Ayr United are decent under Lee Bullen, and how Andy forgets his name as a manager of Ayr's beyond me. And then
Beat the pundit Hugh. He forgot his name.
I couldn't believe it, Hugh. That was just one of the nights. And you look at our club there, Airdrie. They're in good form. Ross County, I think, will just have a wee bit too much, but I think that'll be a good game for Lindsay.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Planning your holiday? Get essential health advice and medication before you travel.
Yes, underway now in the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and that means I need to get some predictions from you three across the desk, starting with you, Hugh.
I am taking St Mirren to defeat Motherwell, Livy to beat Lee Bullen and Ayr United, and I'm going for Malky Mackay's Ross County to be away winners at Airdrie. I think they've tightened up at the back substantially, Ross County, and they're good for goals as well, as Celtic found out when they beat them 4-2 at Celtic Park. So for me, you have 2 homes and 1 away.
Not a good place to be, but I'm the exact same as Hugh on this one. I agree. I know that's all the favourites this afternoon, but I can't see there being any shocks. We may have entertaining games in there, but I think St Mirren will beat Motherwell, Livy will beat Ayr, and Ross County will do the job against Airdrie. I
think I'm going a little bit different. I think St Mirren and Motherwell will go all the way. Penalty kicks. I can't decide who's the best penalty kick takers, but I wish both sides all the very best.
Sure, they'll appreciate that.
Yeah, I fancy Livingston to beat Ayr in a tight game. My cup upset, I fancy Airdrieonians this afternoon.
Airdrieonians to beat Ross County. They've had a good start to the season under Rhys McCabe, who is injured for this one. Of course, player manager has been a real success,
and they will miss him. They will miss Rhys McCabe. Nothing he can do about it. He's injured, but there we have it. The Dazzler goes against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of early pressure from Ross County there. Simon Murray plays in Kyle Turner, but the flag goes up.
Yeah, Ross County gave a good account of themselves at Celtic Park, followed it up last week. A good result.
The thing,
Daz's went against them.
Look, the reason I totally agree. I think Ross County. I'm a big Ross County fan, but I think the pitch plays a part this afternoon. I really do.
Why? Because it's Astrid.
Yeah, and I think Airdrie at home,
decent Astrid.
It's a good Astrid.
Yeah. I know, but it doesn't matter. But Airdrie play, training that, I think
surely does matter. If it was a bad Astro.
No, it gives them a little bit of it's a cup game. There's always cup shocks. You look at this afternoon. Did we think that Rangers would only beat Morton 2-1? Absolutely not. You look at last night, Aberdeen 2-1 against Stirling Albion. So as much as you go, yeah, it should be 3-4, that doesn't plan out that way. I just think Ross County will have a difficult afternoon.
Right, before we get any goals, let's do this.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Straightforward, this one. Can you name the top 5 highest scoring Scots in the English Premier League? Tell me the top 5 highest scoring Scots in the history of the English Premier League.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be a race to the podium. I think the listeners out there will have this one in the bag, so let's see how quickly you can get that. Remember, tweet us at Clyde SSB. Make sure all your answers are in the one tweet as well, and you could be in the leaderboard come half time for the first half teaser. Mark and Gordon conferring over there.
Well, Mark's looking at me, and I've got to put my hands up here, Andrew, and say I can only apologise to Hugh. I wasn't listening, so I don't really know the.
I'll give you the question again.
Yeah, 'cause Mark's get the first two wrong.
No, he's got one right, one wrong.
Right.
Can you
Okay.
name the top 5 highest scoring Scots in the history of the English Premier League?
English Premier League, so what's that?
Oh, yeah,
1990,
I've got that.
1992 onwards.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Right, got that.
What was that, about 10 years before you went down south?
Don't know, mate. I wasn't listening to you either. I'm too busy.
I've got a belter. It might be, aye. What about that one?
Interestingly, down south, an early goal for Bournemouth, 1-0
know.
up against Liverpool, a quick start.
Not Jurgen Klopp, it's not all going his way. Can't get the players into Anfield that he wanted. When a player turns down a move to Liverpool because he wants to play for Chelsea, it's a bit of a dig at you.
It's bad when it's a public denial as well, isn't it? Do you have that at all at Brecon, chasing after a player and turn you down at the last minute?
Many. I mean, Grant Gillespie had tried to sign a Brecon, and I thought we were almost getting there when he was coming. I think he was in Ireland, was he? And then turned in at the last minute. That could have made all the difference.
Did you actually go from Liverpool to getting turned down to
all relative.
Mark Wilson and Brecon?
All relative.
It's always the same fees and everything.
Hold on a minute, let me think about that. What are you saying, Mark? Yeah, is it £40 a week or is it 35?
The line's
plus
breaking up.
expenses?
I can't hear you. But listen, Chelsea are a joke just now. The way that they're conducting their business, and I mean the rules are changing. They're giving players 8 years contracts and 9 year contracts, but apparently is that coming to an end next season?
Yep.
But
I think that's a UEFA rule and not a Premier League rule.
Yeah, well, to stop all that. But Jurgen Klopp, it's nothing worse when you say something's a manager and then it comes back to bite.
Did I tell you about Malky
Got
Mackay?
an early goal.
Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Airdrie 0, Ross County 1, and it's Kyle Turner. He was played through earlier in the match by Simon Murray. He was offside at that point, but this time he scores. It was a curled right-footed shot into the corner, and Ross County have an early lead against their championship opponents.
Pitch might have caught them out.
I think they've been training a pitch in the fly up at Dingwall. That's a great start, you've got to say. See, when you're the favourites, the Premier League side, and you're going in against a championship side, there's always dodgy games there. You've got to go off to a good start, and Turner's certainly given them that.
Scored last week, did he? Kyle Turner,
I think so,
yeah. I think he came off the bench today and scored right foot curling, so sounded similar.
There are, of course, games down the divisions as well. In Scotland, Clyde with an early goal, 1-0 up against Peterhead. Fraser Malcolm on 5 minutes with the goal there.
Our old friend and friend of the programme, Jim Duffy, left Clyde last night. His job as director of football. He resigned his post with immediate effect. So I know you'll be listening, so good luck, James, wherever you go next.
I tell you what, one thing about, you talk about guys in this show, Big Marv, I love him, Martin as I call him. He's a fantastic defensive coach. Have you noticed that? Really works well with his team. He gets them organised, hard to break down. You know what I mean? He's got that back four solid with the goalkeeper. I went down to Hamilton the other day to watch him play training. Unfortunately, he wasn't there, so it's obviously he's not been doing it this week.
Queen of the South 0, Arran Athletic 1, and Effie Ambrose own goal. Oh, and what about this for a start?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Airdrie 0, Ross County 2. Jordan White with the goal this time. And, well, what a start that is.
Yeah,
the Dazzler's turned into me.
That's terrible.
When you go away to someone like Airdrie, you know, who everything is on the up and positive, the start you want is exactly what Ross County's done. Eliminates any kind of shock. I know we're only 7 minutes in, but if Ross County have to slip up now, then Malky Mackay should be given the sack. Yeah.
I knew Airdrie would miss Reece McCabe, but I didn't think it would be so evident so early.
Yeah, this could be a sore one for them. But Ross County have looked good. I said it moments ago, looked good at Celtic Park in an attacking sense, and then last week. So from Malky Mackay's, dreadful kind of end to the season last year, and I know they survived, started it very well this year.
See, to be fair, Andrew, I've got to be honest, I didn't really fancy Airdrie, right? I only went against day two because I didn't want to go, I'll go for the same. But the game's not finished yet. If Airdrie can get another goal back into this game, but
so
you thought it was going to stay level between St Mirren and Motherwell,
yeah.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0, and it's Caelan Boyd-Muntz with the goal. And with Mark O'Hara out for the next couple of weeks, Caelan Boyd-Muntz is the man in midfield that's replacing him, and he's cropped up with a goal.
To be fair, you deserve a goal if you're stuck with a name like Boyd-Muntz.
Well, I was watching a little bit of their training the other day there, Hugh, and they were getting Muntz on the ball quite often. And that's true.
You're talking Muntz.
No. I was watching St Mirren a little bit of training.
Where were you watching St Mirren?
I was in the golf course, so I watched it through the fence.
That doesn't sound that creepy, does it?
Well,
he's in the golf course peering through a fence.
If anybody knows, I had played at Ralston.
That sounds like you'd
I played at Ralston Golf Club.
Sliced one into the hedges and you're looking for your ball and then realised it.
You walk back to the tee and the fence you could see through, and I stood and watched St Mirren training for about 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
And Eddie's behind you saying, hurry up, mate.
What the rest of your four-ball thinking?
Have you ever heard they play through, gentlemen? Muntz was on the ball, and I thought, he's a real danger.
And how did you know it was Boyd-Muntz that was on the ball?
Because I heard the manager saying, Boydie-Muntz.
That's his nickname,
yeah.
I don't believe
it's longer than his
that.
actual
That's
name. Traditionally how nicknames work, yeah.
Add-on letters.
That's what I thought. I can't believe he's adding on a few letters.
You would be an absolute sensation on the telly on Would I Lie to You?
It's a true story.
A cracking goal by all accounts as well. Fell to him at the edge of the box, top corner. Liam Kelly had no chance.
Great start for him, St Mirren there, great for him. I did see them at Easter Road that day against Hibs, and I thought they were terrific.
The way you said I did makes it sound as if your story before was nonsense.
No, my story before.
Yeah,
look,
I did actually see them.
There's a lot of truth in the story before. I didn't see him shouting Boydie-Muntz, right? I made that up, but I did watch St Mirren train.
We're all shocked at that.
Oh, some great insight there, eh? Into the
But
week
anyway,
of Gordon.
the good thing is that we're up and running and we're lively. You know, we had an amazing game at Ibrox where Morton took all the credit but went out of the tournament, and now we're getting goals all over the shop, and it's a lively old day.
Yeah, 3 goals in our featured matches. St Mirren 1-0 up against Motherwell, and Ross County with that quick start 2-0 up against Airdrie. As I say, there is games down the divisions. There's only one in the Championship because there was a lot of Championship involvement in this round of the League Cup. Arbroath and Queen's Park in action. It's 0-0 between those sides. Annan, the only side that scored in League 1 up against Queen of the South, and Clyde, the only team that have scored in League 2, 1-0 up against Peterhead. There was a great chance for Josh Sims there, set up by Simon Murray, 16 yards out, just didn't catch it properly. So Ross County really putting the pressure on for a third. This sounds like the definition of a going over. So Airdrie will need to gather their composure. I hope that Lindsay Heron's got an abacus there with him. Yeah, Airdrie are known for playing nice football under Rhys McCabe at times, but you know, when you are a team down the divisions that do try to play football, you can sometimes get caught out when you're playing against a team in the Premiership. It doesn't quite work against a higher quality at times. Depends if you're a very attacking minded team. It's okay, it's playing nice football, possession's brilliant. If you're a very attacking minded team and you're playing against a team that's maybe got a little bit more quality in you, that's when it can cause you problems, because if you lose the ball, then the opposition seem to break you down. They've got off to a great start. That's a brilliant start. I didn't expect that, and don't be kidded. These two guys standing to my right didn't expect that either. I have a theory about I've got a theory about Ross County. When you are minutes away from relegation, as they were last season, if Partick Thistle had a greater composure, Partick Thistle will be in the Premiership and Ross County be in the Championship. I don't think you then get survivor guilt. I think you get survivor inspiration. We're not going back there, not going back there at all. And it's been a feature of them since the season started, Ross County, that they're more adventurous. They'll get better players. Malky Mackay's recruited well.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Livingston 1, Ayr United 0, and it's Joel Newbley from close range. So the goals are flying in our featured matches. They all have a goal, and this time it's Livingston 1-0 up against their Championship opposition. Well, Newbley, how long can Livy hold on to him? You know, lots going on at Livy, on and off the park. There's a bit of internal wrangling going on at boardroom level. Davy Martindale's had his budget for the season cut quite substantially. Newbley
I'm always surprised that nobody comes in for him, because what a handful he is. And the window, of course, has got 2 weeks left to run.
I don't think David Martindale has made any secret this summer that he wouldn't mind seeing Joel Newbley move on, but saying it for the betterment of his career, that he thinks Joel Newbley can go on and play at a higher level.
Works both ways. Newbley gets a move to probably a club in the lower regions of the English League, and Livy get a fee, and they could use the money.
Finally, a chance for Airdrie in the early stages. Callum Gallagher plays in Gabby McGill, but Jack Baldwin recovered brilliantly to win the ball and stop that shot. It's also a penalty claim for Ayr, but that one is turned down.
Is there VAR at Livy today?
I don't believe so.
No, they would say no on the basis of cost. That's where I agree with the point that Mark Wilson made earlier in the programme. You've got one competition, and there are one set of rules for some teams and another set for another. I mean, look at Ibrox today. 2 penalty kicks, and VAR gave both. The referee was not giving either.
Is it not more acceptable because essentially it's agreed between the teams that are playing, though? If the two teams come together and say, we don't want VAR for this game, then they can't go and complain that another game has it. I get where you're coming from, but you can't have any real complaints and then say, well, we should have had a penalty and we didn't because of VAR, when you've been part of the agreement process to not have it. And
these agreements are being reached because of finance. But I just think, it's like the subject of synthetic pitches for me. I think the SPFL should have more about them and say that, look, okay, in Championship, League 1, League 2, synthetic pitches are okay, but in the top flight it's not okay. And if we have to subsidise, you have to agree to rip up your synthetic pitch and get grass in, because it's not for our top level.
I think we were chatting about this when Livy played, was it Inverness in the Scottish Cup, and it was the same situation. Both teams agreed that it wasn't worth the cost. But refresh my memory, Andrew, how does it work then? If it's, say, a Rangers going to Livy today and Livy say, we don't want VAR, it's not, doesn't make any sense to us in terms of cost, but Rangers are thinking, well, we do want VAR. Who does the cost fall on?
Because then
you got to agree, you're not.
I think so. I think you have to agree, and unless Rangers were willing to stump up the cash and just pay.
But surely it shouldn't fall on the away side to stump up all the cash.
I think if they can't agree for it, then they just wouldn't have it.
Right. See, again, that seems unfair, and that puts both clubs in an unfortunate position where it should really be taken out their hands, that either we've not got VAR for the first couple of rounds until the quarter-final stage or the semi-final stage, or every game's got VAR in it, because it makes it a level playing field across the board.
In Brighton, there's a 13-year-old jumping up and down with his Japanese flag because Mitoma has put Brighton 1-up against Wolves.
And Cove Rangers are 1-0 up against Montrose. Rumarn Burrell with the goal for them.
The Brighton's a team you want to sign for at the minute, because there's every chance you're going for about 80 million in a couple of seasons. Mitoma will be the next one that's away.
I would never go near Brighton as long as I lived again.
Why?
That's what ended my Manchester City career.
Oh?
Yeah, I played at Brighton.
The Goldstone ground?
Is that what it was called, the old ground? Yeah. I was dynamite that day, Hugh. I'll never forget it.
Why your career ended then?
Because Big Billy didn't agree with me. He didn't think I was dynamite. And I had a poor game. I had a sort of Mark Walsh.
The second time he's criticised himself today, Andrew.
Listen, I was like Matondo in the second half. I didn't get the ball. First half, the left back was all over the place, right? I was playing wide right, not my natural position.
Did Big Billy think you were a word that rhymed with dynamite?
Yeah. And he told me after it, he gave me it for terrible. I'll never forget that Brighton pier.
Was it just that game? Was it all going swimmingly before that?
Yeah. And the Brighton pier, it was nearly going swimmingly. And they make my own way up the road
on foot.
They never even got on the bus, Hugh.
Was that
how bad it was.
Time over at City?
That was it. I knew the time was over. Billy and I just didn't see eye to eye, but I totally agreed with him. I wasn't up to my standards. And when you let your standards
Where
go.
did you go for City then?
I went to the Partick Thistle.
Yeah. Nothing against Thistle, but what a drop that is.
I had to come back up the road, and it wasn't good time in my career at that time. And I was a
Man
playboy.
City to Partick Thistle.
I mean, Man City weren't the powerhouse they are now.
They were still massive. We played Leeds at What do you call the
Pre-season.
ground? Main road, and they were 50.
That's a hard start for you.
They were 50 odd thousand for it. It was
What league was this? Not the top league, was
League
it?
One we were in at the time.
League One, so that's
Chelsea, Leeds, and teams like that. It was unbelievable. Do you know the problem was? You went down there. I was big time at the time, you know, and I didn't behave properly. I was out and about.
Can imagine.
You know what like it was, couple of quid in a pocket, Hugh.
Yeah.
You've got to go.
Wasted is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, on the dance floor.
On the dance floor.
On the dance floor.
Waistcoat. I bet you were a waistcoat man when you went
When I
into
should
the
have been on
nightclub.
the training ground, I was on the dance floor. I don't know why the clubs were open at 10, 11 in the morning.
Finished fourth that
Fourth.
season
Yeah. See,
in the old second division.
Right.
Big
Read
Billy.
out some of the teams that was in that league, Andrew. Let's see who he was up against.
Chelsea won it.
Newcastle and Sheffield Wednesday finished above Manchester City, as did Chelsea, who won the league that
Chelsea.
season.
Oh, yeah, and
There was
let me
also Blackburn, Brighton were in there as
yeah.
well. You've also got Grimsby and
Yeah,
Shrewsbury.
Grimsby. A difficult away
Cambridge
ground.
United.
Cambridge.
The boat team.
I was the worst because they always won the boat race. They were full of confidence by the time
they were
we
powerful,
arrived.
good finishers.
Yeah, but some good teams there, some good game. We finished fourth. Yeah, look, it was just one of those times that things went wrong.
If you live in Hamilton, you support the Ackies, you're beating FC Edinburgh 1-0 at the moment.
Kyle MacDonald with the goal for Hamilton. There was also a bit of a comedy moment at St Mirren. Alex Gogic going up to take a throw in, just fell over, tripped up as he went to take the throw in.
Do you know why, Andrew, Luton and Burnley has been postponed?
Not sure actually, I'll need to look that up. I have not seen that. Although that does remind me that earlier on there was a headline I saw of Japhet Tanganga, who's at Tottenham, and the headline was saying that he's deliberating between whether to go on loan to Luton or Inter Milan. It doesn't seem like much of a...
No.
I know Luton are a
much of a
Premier
choice
League
that is,
side now, but
You ever been in Luton?
I
There
haven't.
should be no doubt whatsoever where you go. If it's Luton or Milan,
Where's
Oh, is it because
tomorrow, maybe.
Luton's ground is still getting renovated, I think, so they actually can't play any home games at the moment.
right?
now for if
So
that was
Alan's
here,
actually-
If you've got a
let's-
choice between
but let's
the
be
San
honest,
Siro and a ground that
See
they can't
that-
even play games in because it's under construction.
if that was in Scotland, we'd be saying, "Oh, look at our league. We can't get that sorted out." That is
No.
in the richest league in the world,
Yeah.
and they're having to postpone home games for renovation.
So right now they only
That's
play
ridiculous.
away games.
How's
that allowed?
That should be getting more criticism than I've actually seen. I've not seen anything about that.
Ground share? Can they not ground share?
I think they're just
What's the nearest to Luton?
well, any
There
of the
you go.
London ones really. There'll be quite a few.
But that doesn't matter. I mean, how much time have they
Good
had
airport.
to
They're only there for a
Good
season.
airport.
anyway.
That's all you know. Cheap flights into Luton.
Apparently it's now deemed sufficient to hold Premier League games, but there's still work going on. So their next home game is scheduled to be on Friday the 1st of September against West Ham, but we need to wait and see whether it goes
Is that
ahead
the
or not.
ground that you go through? Is that a
Yeah,
house in
it
a state?
essentially goes.
Yeah.
Aye. I did need a bit of work actually.
Brighton
But
took
that's
4 off them last weekend. They're only there for a season. They'll go down with a record low number of points. They're hopeless.
Well, let's hear a bit from Michael Beale, shall we? While there's not too much action happening, here's what he had to say after the game today.
I thought we started the game well with good energy. We created big chances and didn't take one, and then the game sort of petered out to half time. We spoke about that at half time, and obviously the VAR decision right at the start of the second half, and you find yourself 1-0 down, and you think it's going to be one of those days. But after that, I thought again we got back to dominant. Jamie's had to make a couple of saves, and we're through. So it's been a long week. Obviously we made 8 changes to the team to give some people a go. I thought Cifuentes was very good again today, and now it gives us a chance to train with a majority of the group fresh tomorrow and Monday into Tuesday. So in a way, the plan of being through and not playing everybody has worked.
The plan has worked. Hugh, is that good enough?
I would take issue with some of what he said. I mean, Cifuentes.
To be fair, Alex said he would have been his man of the match, so maybe there's something we're missing on the TV.
He did, against all our expectations. He did. Michael Beale say we're through. But I do not think it's good enough for the Rangers fans, I'd like to hear from a fan at 5 o'clock. Now, we've got Michael Beale, which I think is, well, generous assessment of what went on. I'd like to hear a Rangers fan at 5 o'clock say if he agrees with Michael Beale, who admitted that at one point he thought it was going to be one of those days.
I'm not having as well. It's been a long week, and we're through. You had to travel to Geneva. It's not like they've had to go 5,000 miles for a round trip, and they're playing the same players that they've played, and you're asking players to go to the well deep into the season. We're just out of pre-season. Michael Beale's got a big squad. He's rotated 8 players. He knows fine well the performances have to be better. However, if he keeps coming out and saying it, then it spins in him that fans will begin to say, well, why aren't the performances getting better? So he has to be careful, and I think he's been cagey there with his assessment of the game.
Last week he also said it was a long week when he was explaining away Livingston.
And I tell you what, there's going to be a lot of long weeks coming up, because whether Rangers get into the Champions League or the Europa League, they're going to be playing Tuesday or Wednesday, and then Saturday or Thursday, Sundays for quite a long time.
I think his assessment is generous, and I can understand why he's gone down that road, because if he comes out and says what he truly feels, it would make for great headlines for newspapers, but not for the Rangers fans 3 days away from PSV Eindhoven.
Clyde 1, Peterhead 1, an equaliser for the visitors. Connor O'Keefe with the goal. Just think Sunderland go 1-1 with Rotherham there. Goal from Job Bellingham.
Yeah,
younger brother of Jude Bellingham.
Do you think he's a bit jealous of his brother?
I mean, he's only 17, Job Bellingham, so he's got plenty of time to
He'll be at
develop as well.
In about 5 years as well. Yeah.
Oh,
good football and family. That is Bellingham.
Although to be fair,
well
Bellingham went from Birmingham to Borussia Dortmund, and his brother's gone from Birmingham to Sunderland. It's not quite
the parents must have a new house, surely.
Oh,
yeah.
Several.
Yeah, you bring up your family and they make it in the big town. Do you ever buy your mum and dad a new house?
No, I just paid for the rent, council. 60.
Man of the people.
No, I didn't even do that. I'd speaking to my family, give my dad a shout. It's my old man's birthday today, so
how old is he?
Happy birthday. I think it's the same age as you. What age are you?
He's not the same age as me.
62.
No,
I think he's 62.
I'm a lot younger than 62.
Hold on, we went out for your 60th 2 years ago.
No, you went out
so you must be 62.
Your calculation's wrong. We went out for my 60th 1 year ago.
Are you 61, are you?
61, yeah.
Gordon Dalziel is 62 in March.
Are you okay, Andrew?
Well,
I don't give you your
You're
details
in your
of the programme.
year.
Why don't you just read out my phone number while you're there?
01.
It'd be even worse if you read it out, just no one phoned or texted him as well.
Oh, don't you want to blow up?
Our phone's red hot as it is already. It's never off it.
St Mirren well on top at the Smiza Stadium. You'd think, is there a chance potentially for Micah Beer to come on at the break? Motherwell not having much luck in the final third.
Big surprise for me. He wasn't on from the start. I mean, he made such a dazzling debut. You have to suspect that there's the famous wee niggle involved.
Unless he's just getting up to speed. He's maybe not had a clean pre-season. He's had a move to Motherwell. Maybe they're just sort of easing him into the team.
Scores a goal, has a good week training.
I think they'll just look at the same impact, Hugh. I agree. I was surprised he wasn't starting, but he come on, he made a terrific impact. The substitution was the right timing. So I think the manager looked at this away from home today. If we need a good impact, if we need something to change and give us a lift, this is certainly going to be the guy. I like the look of the lad. As I say, I've only seen him that short time on the TV, and I think that he'll go on to be a good signing for Motherwell.
Read out the teaser again for us, Hugh.
Yeah, of course.
We've got it, Hugh.
Hold on now. Can you name the top 5 highest scoring Scots in the English Premier League, which, as you said, Andrew, started in
1992?
So there you are.
A few guesses on Twitter. I'm seeing a lot of correct answers. People doing well out there. Kevin McCleave says Brian McClare.
No, not there.
He says Graham Souness.
Graham Souness, top goal scorer.
Gordon Strachan and Robert Fleck, he says as well.
Not a chance.
No,
we've got it.
We've got 5.
All 5
in the bag. Top of the leaderboard.
Water's got it. Wilson and Dale.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of correct answers. Frank says Gordon Dalziel must be on the list.
No. 19. I wasn't there 19. What year? 19 what?
92.
92,
you missed all the
Premier
big
League
cash.
started.
I know. I
You were
missed.
at Wraith.
I was winning cup finals against Celtic.
83-84 season was when you were at Man City.
Are you really?
My last game was Scottish Cup final against Aberdeen. I wasn't good in that one.
I saw that one.
No, I've not had a good career.
I tell you what, there's been a lot of self-awareness from you today. You've
It's in
been
a reflective
quite critical of
It's a long day. There's no point.
everything all right at home.
No point sugarcoating it. You've just got to come out and tell the truth. Sometimes you have your ups, sometimes are you good days, bad days? Today's a bad day.
Okay.
Happy Saturday, everyone out there. Dumbarton 0, 4-1. Seb Ross with the goal half an hour into that game, so they've got the lead away at Dumbarton.
Try to sign him as well. That
Did
was
you?
the old conversation that extra few quid just wasn't enough to tempt him to breaking.
What was? Do you know something? I know we'll get a wee lull here. What was your pitch to players to say? I want to
Come
go
to Brecon.
Yeah, I want to go and sign with Brecon. Oh, you should see the hedge. It's trimmed.
In the main street. There's a lot happening in the main street. We'll put you up in this lovely hotel.
No, the fact
2-star.
Listen,
You're handy for Dundee.
no, see,
Just off the A9, close to Aberdeen, close to Dundee.
did you not come out with it? Look, I've played in the Champions League. I've played with Celtic. I've won this. I'm can pass on my experiences and help you progress as a player.
No, because that's cheap talk.
No, the main
you have to
street's
sell the
quite
town.
good.
You have to sell the town.
You should see the wee
It's got
coffee shop in the
6
corner.
bookies in it. It's only 100 yards long. It's got 6
Apologies to
bookies.
the good people of Brecon out there if anyone's listening.
Listen, don't go. It's rubbish.
What a coffee shop.
There's nothing happening in it at all.
Just as well you're not looking to go back, because I'm not sure you'll be
No,
welcome.
No, I won't be.
East
But
5-0,
best of luck,
Stenhouse Muir 1. Gregor Buchanan with the goal. An interesting one in the Queen of the South Annan game as well today, because it's father against son. Willie Gibson and his son in opposite teams. Willie Gibson starting, his son is on the bench because Willie Gibson managed him last season, didn't he? Queen of the South.
Of course, so they did.
Now up against each other. They're still trailing. Marvin Bartley's side. Bonnyrigg Rose are ahead against Stranraer. It's a Neil Martinuke penalty. 32 minutes into that game.
He was back to being insufferable on Beat the Pundit during the week.
The big man.
He had a good 5, Hugh, didn't he?
Aye.
Aye. Good performance from Marv.
He had a good win last Saturday as well.
There should be a question in next Wednesday's. What was the Annan Queen of the South score at half time?
Who scored the own goal?
Yes.
I'm sure, unless he's blocked it out. You never know. They've come back to win before. Could happen again.
Yeah, certainly. I'll tell you what, there's always goals when Queen of South are playing. If you look at them,
Effie's had a few OGs in his time, hasn't he?
that's a good. How old would he be, Mark? You played with him, didn't you?
No, I didn't play with him. I missed him, but he's a fair age. He must be about 36 now. 37.
Can he still do that?
34.
Can he still do that flip over, or what's it called? The flippy over.
Oh, the backflip when he
The
scored.
backflip.
The old flippy over.
Flippy over.
Aye.
Can he still do that?
He's had an interesting career path, Effie Ambrose, and how he's then decided to stay
the
here.
fact he's just settled in Scotland. You look at the clubs since he left Celtic. Hibs obviously went down to Derby. I don't think played for them, but then Livingston, St Johnstone, Dunfermline on loan, Morton, Queen of the South.
Yeah, he's getting through them. Yeah. Obviously loves the country.
He does, yeah.
He's been up and down. I mean, some poor performances for Celtic on the big stage, but he always just had something about him that Neil Lennon liked and kept him about the club for.
Roger Hanna saying that Effie Ambrose, Marvin Bartley was in the Sun today, saying, talking up Effie Ambrose.
Oh, then he goes and scores an OG. Brilliant.
Well, he's got a reward. He's put the
Player
back in
coach
it.
as well, does a bit of coaching for them.
Oh, does he?
Yep.
That is awkward then at half time. In the managers.
I honestly was about the training part yesterday trying to find them. Couldn't find them, so they must.
Are you just hanging around training grounds?
No, hold on.
You need to get a hobby.
What did I tell you? He's trying to get back in somewhere.
I know, it's the games first, it's now the training
I
grounds. He's trying a different route.
apologise. It was Thursday. I come out to David Lloyd's, and obviously I'm getting his body in shape for the winter, and I went to decided to go and see Big Marvin training, and I could not find Queen of South. And you're wondering why they're one down? Let him phone me. I'll tell.
Thursday's a relatively common day off for
so
some
what?
teams, isn't
Wednesday all day.
You couldn't find him in the gym.
No, I couldn't find them in the training pitches. I know where he trained, so I went round there to have a look and have a few words with him. Bit of encouragement, a bit of team support.
That's weird, any of the South fans listening will be thinking, oh, wonder where they are.
There were 10 guys in an indoor 5-a-side pitch playing their bellies. I'm going, tell you what, they've let themselves go this Queen of the South.
A penalty claim for Motherwell. Casey, a header blocked, but no VAR. Willie Collum says no.
Not like Willie to be involved in controversy.
Well, I think there's still goals in
Go
that.
the distance, that one.
Yeah, do. I think that's a penalty shootout all day long.
I think St Mirren, the way they've started the season brilliantly, and you think losing a Hara as well, what a big blow that was going to be for them, but doesn't affect them. Your mate, what's he called again? Muncie.
Boyd Munce. Caelan
Boyd
Muncie stepping up to the task.
Yeah, Boyd Muncie.
This is him really hitting his stride, though. He came in January, Caelan Boyd Munce, and didn't play much football towards the end of last season. But Stephen Robinson really said at the time it was with a view to him, getting a new contract in the summer and then becoming a more regular player.
Where did he come from?
He was down south. I think it was Middlesbrough he'd been at for a good while.
That's where, guys who can find you players in the unlikeliest of spots, they're worth their weight in gold, because he's obviously come in and hit the ground running for St Mirren.
Yeah, he came through at Glentoran. He's another of the Northern Irish contingent at St Mirren. He was at Birmingham, Middlesbrough, so clearly showed some quality to be picked up from Glentoran to go to Birmingham, and then Middlesbrough didn't quite make the cut there. 23 years old, hasn't played a lot of football in his time, but a regular for Northern Ireland's under 21s. It's the potential really that I think Stephen Robinson was excited by.
Well, that's the kind of area where you've got to shop. Ryan Leake has come in for Ross County and immediately made a difference to them, defensively speaking. So they're doing their work properly by digging up players like that.
Conor McMenamin, he one that came through Northern Ireland as well. He looks good. Did you spend a bit of money on him?
It was a sort of quite a long, protracted process to get him over to St Mirren as well. I think he and his agent made some sacrifices to make the deal work. Was prolific over in Ireland.
All of a sudden, boys.
Yes, we have another one of these.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Airdrie 1, Ross County 2, and no surprise that it's Callum Gallagher that's got the goal for Airdrie. He got plenty of goals last season and he's continuing his form into this season as well.
Yeah, good goal scorer for Rhys McCabe. Him, depend a lot on him, but he comes up with the goods more often than not, and that just keeps that game alive. That's his hoping for an equaliser.
What was that you were saying, Hugh, about Ryan Leake shoring up the Ross County defence?
Yeah, I've done him in. Mo Salah took the huff last week when he was taken off. Now he's put Liverpool ahead 2-1 against Bournemouth at Anfield.
Did you see his drop?
I couldn't disagree with him, because
were you one of those when you get substituted off that you would
let's
throw
just
a bit of a
stop you
tantrum?
there. I didn't get substituted off, so I come off if I've scored 2 or 3 and I had enough, usually around the 60-minute mark,
just to bathe in the applause,
just to get the applause and wave to the fans and pump the chest to the badge. I didn't know what badge it was. I wasn't a real champ. But yeah, I think if you've got if you feel that you've contributed, then I think you do in the spur of the moment. But once you get in and you're sitting there after a game and you're looking at what happened in the game, you think, well, it was for the benefit of the team.
Just on that Airdrie goal, it was a brilliant run and cross from Adam Frizzle and a close range finish from Callum Gallagher. Kelty Hearts 1-0 up against Alloa as well. Ross Cunningham from the penalty spot.
That's a surprise. Alloa started not too bad, scored 4 a couple of weeks ago away from home against Marvin's Queen of the South. Kelty Hearts not the force they were. I remember a couple of years ago Kevin Thompson had them playing some good stuff, but found it difficult.
Renamed their stadium
to New Central Park. I got done with that and beat the pundit Hugh. He can't just be adding words.
Old Cowdenbeath.
Who would you have said there, Hugh?
Central Park.
No. Who plays at New
Central Park? You'd say Cowdenbeath, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's Kelty Hearts.
They've just chucked new in front of there. No imagination.
Oh, we're back.
With M&D Green Pharmacy.
Almost some harmonising in there. Airdrieonians 1, Ross County 3. They didn't have that 1-goal deficit for long. It's back to a 2-goal deficit, and it's Simon Murray with the goal. 3-1 to Ross County.
He's looked good at the start of the season. I was impressed with him again at Celtic Park. A hard shift up there, but he made it difficult for the Celtic backline, and he's on the score sheet this afternoon. Malky Mackay will be happy with him. When he came in, I think he's taken a wee bit of time to get used to that side, but it's a good guy to have up top.
Certainly a good response from the county, because Airdrie would have had a great lift from getting back in the game. 2-1 at home. But I agree with Mark. I think Simon Murray this year, the start he's had of the season's been very good indeed.
Yeah, it was a long ball from James Brown, and Murray with the outside of the foot finish to make it 3-1 to Ross County. They're looking good at the moment, potentially to join Rangers and Aberdeen in the hat.
Colourful career, Simon Murray, who ended up in South Africa at one point, but scores goals wherever he is, whichever country he is in, and he is certainly making his mark in Dingwall.
You know what, that's for any young player, you know, taking a step back to go a couple forward. Him coming back and go to Queen's Park, and everyone, well, me included, thought, well, he's going to stay in around that level now, but to then step back up to the Premiership, well done to him.
Yeah, they do have some firepower in that team as well. Eamon Brophy, Jordan White.
Yep.
They've got some good options, probably options that teams round about where they're looking to finish in the table would be envious of.
Last season, Malky Mackay, when he had that transfer window, he had to make a move and get things right, and he decided to go for firepower up top. Now, it didn't work right away, and he had to scrape through the playoff system, but it might just come good now into this new season.
Cove Rangers 2, Montrose 0. Scott Williamson putting them 2 ahead.
I fancied Cove this season. I've got them to win that
We
league.
have.
I predicted the same. Yep.
Did you?
On what evidence?
No stuff, Andrew.
I thought they signed well. I thought transfers in.
Name
looked
3
pretty
players
good.
have signed.
Paul McGowan was a big one.
It's the only one he knows.
He was a big one, and he got sent off.
They signed well. I don't know who they signed, but they signed well.
Let me tell you
goals.
Let me tell you about something that you'll find a lot more interesting than that, and this will be interesting for you at home as well, because you could win a team at the Big Scottish Golf Day. Do you like the sound of that?
Oh, I love that, yeah.
Yeah, you could play at the King Robert the Bruce at Trump Turnberry alongside Super Scoreboard as we take on Ewan Cameron and Stephen Mill from the Big Scottish Football Show. All funds raised from the event will go to Cash for Kids to improve the lives of Scottish children affected by poverty, illness, neglect, or who have additional needs. You could be there. The prize includes a round of golf for a team of 4 with tea, coffee and bacon rolls on arrival, and a set 2-course meal post-golf in the Champions Suite as well. To enter and to make a voluntary £5 donation, text GOLF to 84901. Texts are charged at the standard network rate plus your £5 donation, 100% of which will go straight to Cash for Kids. You may opt out from making a charitable donation. You'll need to be 18 or over to enter, and full terms and conditions can be found on our website. You're playing across the Hits Radio network in Scotland, and lines close at 4 o'clock on Saturday 3rd of September.
We are actually playing them.
Yeah.
There's only one winner there.
Who are we playing against? Stephen Mill.
I've seen playing golf.
Oh, by the way,
right?
Is Ewan Cameron involved?
Yeah.
Ewan was my partner. We were invited down to Loch Lomond Golf Club, right? And prestigious golf club. You're lucky to get on there, right? And that brilliant. Until I got there and I found that Ewan was my partner. And I looked at him and he had all the golf gear. I thought this could be actually quite good. I didn't know he played golf. He didn't play golf. He was horrendous.
Hold on a minute. See the moral of this story? He's slaughtering Ewan Cameron for I had all the golf gear. Do you know what his caddy says to him? Go on, tell.
Well, I was lucky enough to be invited back this summer, Andrew, and we're playing away, and you're lucky enough to get caddies. I've only had caddies twice in my life. The time with Ewan and this time. So I get to know the guy's a Celtic fan. We're trading some stories, and I'm asking him who he's caddied for, and he's telling me all these big hitters and stuff. And we get probably about 9 holes in, so he's getting a wee bit familiar with his caddy's name's Ryan. He hands me the clubs and he says, I've got to tell you, in all my time caddying here, These are the worst set of clubs I've ever carried in my bag. The old Nike slingshots.
He's got
a driver that Daz gave me that's not even legal now.
It's not legal.
And he says, by far the worst I've ever carried in my entire carrying career.
That's quite some feat.
That is
to be the worst.
Imagine rocking up at a golf course like
see when he handed me the Donny sandwich when I was in the bunker. He nearly passed it.
Since we're on the golf theme, let me say quickly a great thanks to John Hartson, to Frank McAvenny, to Ian Durant, to Charlie Miller, who turned up. We've got a relative who needs £250,000 to go to hospital to have special treatment. He's only 4 years old, and the guys turned up on Wednesday at the Carrick and they raised £20,000.
Brilliant.
Well done.
Brilliant.
So John,
Excellent.
Macca, Charlie, Durante, thanks a million.
Great stuff.
Good stuff. I did see that. Did have the Celtic stripes and the blue top on?
It was called the Old Firm Ryder Cup.
Yeah, it was. Looked good, Hugh. Well done to the guys.
Invite missing in the post for that one, Mark.
I didn't get the shout.
Took one look
obviously,
at your clubs and thought no chance.
Yeah.
So I need to upgrade. So if anybody is getting rid of their old clubs,
Nike, please give us a phone.
Get in touch. The worst clubs he's ever carried. What about that? I'm so embarrassed.
I think we are close to half time, so
Did
let's wrap this one up first of all, Hugh.
Just one other thing.
The first half teaser.
With the ScottishSun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I just wondered if they included Brecon in the worst clubs you'd ever had. But the question was, can you name the top 5 highest scoring Scots in the history of the English Premier League? They are, with 68 goals, Big Dunk Ferguson. With 56 goals, Kevin Gallagher. 53 goals, Stephen Fletcher. 49 goals, Gary McAllister. And 37 goals, Don Hutchison.
I knew that everyone at home would be good at that one, and they were quick off the mark. Third place on the podium, Robbie Boyd. It was Andrew Ross in second place, but the quickest, Dylan Patton, who got their top of the podium.
It's always on the podium, That's
Yeah,
the name.
good.
It just
It's
he's always there.
See, be fair, we got it, so we're happy with that. Contribution's good.
There we go. We'll see if you can get the Who Am I
Feel
for
confident
the second
in the day.
half. It's a good one.
Is it?
Yeah, looking forward to.
Who is it?
Was that not one day that Alex Ray just gave
yeah,
it away?
Yeah, Alex shouted it out.
Ian Wright.
It was Ian Wright.
To be fair, he'd shouted out about 15 seconds after I'd said the question, and it was the quickest shock ever.
We should be close to half times. I tell you what, we are. It is half time at the Smiza Stadium. David Friel.
Yes, Andrew, half time. St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. St Mirren have 1 foot in the quarter final thanks to a Caelan Boyd Muntz wonder goal. We thought this was a really close contest. We gave it a big build up, but to be fair, St Mirren have been well on top so far. Motherwell have been totally out of sorts. It's not the team that we're used to seeing under Stuart Kettlewell, and they will need to be a lot better in the second half to salvage anything from this game. St Mirren have been in really good form. They started with their usual purpose and scored the opener in 9 minutes. Boyd Muntz, he's only in the team due to Mark O'Hara's injury, but he is taking his chance. A really composed player, really cultured player. The ball fell to him 20 yards out after the St Mirren attack, and he found his top corner with a brilliant drive. An absolutely thunderous effort into the top corner. What a goal it was. Motherwell did have a couple of attacks, but St Mirren have always carried more threat. Mikael Mandron had a weak header saved by Liam Kelly. Keanu Bacchus, he put one over the bar, then put one wide. Motherwell captain Liam Kelly, he spent the first half basically shouting at his defence. He's been raging and he's made his feelings clear. Motherwell's Dan Casey did have a penalty claim turned away, handball by Willie Collum, and with no VAR news today, it didn't get checked. As I said, Motherwell behind, St Mirren well on top. Motherwell actually haven't had a single shot on goal, so don't be surprised if we see Mika Biret for the second half. Half time, St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0.
Yes, half time at Livingston against Ayr United as well, Dave Galloway. Oh no, I think it's actually still in play there. We'll go to him shortly. There is 1 minute added in that game. I think there was a late goal as well for Peterhead, who have come from behind. They're now 2-1 up against Clyde, Hugh.
Yeah, well, the minute added on will give Dave time to finish his burger, and then we can get straight to the football.
That's it. We've not sent him anywhere that's close to a Wimpy this weekend.
Well,
won't be getting his fix.
Must be a Wimpy in Livingston.
I think is there not only 2 in the country? I don't know. Let's go to Dave and let's actually hear about the football, shall we? Livingston against Ayr United, half time.
Yeah, certainly no wimpies here, unfortunately, but it's Livingston 1, Ayr United 0 at half time. Andrew, Livingston took a 12-minute lead with a very well crafted goal. Curtis Guthrie picked out Christian Montano, who fired in across to leave Newbley with a simple finish. Good stuff there from Joel Newbley getting on the mark. Ayr United responded positively. They had claims for a penalty rejected after a ball into the box, and veteran winger Aidan McGeady showed good control but failed to bother Shamal George with his efforts on goal. At the other end, Stephen Kelly tested Robbie Much with a 25-yard free kick, but that was just about it. A bit disappointing overall. It's been a pretty even and well contested first half. Some decent build-up play from both sides, but just one shot each on target. Hoping for a more entertaining second half, but at the interval, Livingston 1, Ayr United 0.
It's also half time between Airdrie and Ross County. Lindsay Heron.
Yeah, half time, Andrew. Airdrie 1, Ross County 3. County looked like destroying the Diamonds in the first 12 minutes with 2 quick goals, and they should have had a third. But almost in the way that Airdrie came back into the game, they might have even got level before half time. However, they still faced a 2-goal deficit coming out for the second 45. Kyle Turner's been excellent for Malcolm Mackay's side. He's settled so well up for the Staggies, hasn't he? And he fired them in front with a lovely curling right foot shot, which gave Josh Ray no chance after a lovely 1-2 with Simon Murray. Then Turner was the creator as he worked the ball to the byline on the right side, picked out Jordan White, and he couldn't miss really from close range, and that was the Staggies 2 goals up. Sims should have scored a third in 12 minutes when Murray teed him up 16 yards out, but he scuffed his shot from the central part of the penalty area, and the Diamonds really looked to be in danger of being completely blowing away, but they came storming back into it. Jack Baldwin nearly sliced McGill's cross into his own net. There was a dangerous moment for Ryan Leake when he was dispossessed by Adam Frizzell, and then it was Frizzell who set up a goal for Airdrie 9 minutes before half time. Brilliant run across the box, swiveled to drive a low ball into the middle, and Callum Gallagher slammed home from close range. The home fans thought this was the revival on, but crucially County restored their 2-goal lead 2 minutes later. James Brown's long ball found Murray, and he finished clinically with the outside of his boot just before the break. Half time here at New Broomfield. It's Airdrie 1, Ross County 3.
It's half time around the grounds. You know what? Why don't you give us a call as well? Let's open the lines. 0141 951 1025. Rangers fans, maybe you've got some thoughts on that performance against Morton. Maybe Celtic and Kilmarnock fans or Hibs and Hearts fans want to look ahead to tomorrow. Let's hear from you. 0141 951 1025.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers.co.uk. Now hiring for vehicle technicians. See online for details.
Here's something that'll blow you away. Heat pumps. They're more efficient to run, which means you could save up to £385 a year on your energy bills. And if you get yours from Scottish Gas, we guarantee it'll heat your home to your perfect temperature or your money back. What's more, we won't be beaten on price. And you could get a £7,500 government grant on top. Search Scottish Gas heat pumps. Exclusions and conditions apply. Government grant subject to eligibility.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Jaguar Land Rover Glasgow. The best of both worlds with Jaguar and Land Rover under one roof. The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Just approaching the second half of the 3 o'clock kickoffs across Scotland. Let's try and speak to David Friel. Are you back underway yet?
Not yet, Andrew. We're just waiting to see if Motherwell are making any subs. The subs are out warming up just now, but we're not. Maybe a couple of minutes away from being back underway, I'd imagine.
How's it look there? St Mirren on top, Motherwell needing to possibly make some changes at half time. Would you expect any?
Yeah, I would expect 2 or 3 potentially. Yeah, just speaking to people at half time, Motherwell just haven't got going, but you need to give full credit to St Mirren. As I said, they've been really good form coming out of the game, 2 wins out of 2 in the league, top of their section. They've just picked up where they left off. I mean, Stephen Robertson's built a really good side, but they've got a system that works. You know, he's signed well. Conor McMenamin really good again. Caelan Boyden-Munn's been excellent. Really, really classy footballer. And Motherwell just haven't got going. I mean, they've reshaped their back line, and because of Papa Suarez being out, Paul McGinn's actually moved over to the left, and it means they've actually had to change 2 centre-half positions as well, and I don't know, it just looks a bit disjointed. I think we do miss Lennon Miller. As I said, I could understand why he was maybe rested in case of burnout, but I do think they've missed him in midfield. And up front, Connor Wilkinson and Theo Bair have offered absolutely nothing. Alex Gogic walking about with the cigar out, Andrew. So, you know, it's all in Motherwell's hands to try and make something from this game, because right now St Mirren are well on top.
Yeah, I mean, Mark O'Hara, St Mirren's captain, obviously missing for this game, probably out for a couple of weeks, but you mentioned Caelan Boyd once there, really showing what he can do in the middle of the park.
Yeah, he is, and I think as you were talking about earlier on, you know, he's been waiting for his chance. He was signed last season with a view to this season. He's obviously had to get up to speed. I don't think he's had too much football, but you know, left-footed player, easy in the eye, takes free kicks, corners, and when the ball fell to him for the goal, you see the highlights. I mean, it's an absolutely stunning strike. I was talking to John Hillcoat, a former St Mirren keeper, a man of many clubs in the lower leagues, and he said to me, you'd need two keepers to try and save that. You know, it was an unbelievable strike, and you know, it was at least St Mirren deserved. You know, they could be 2 or 3 ahead here. As I said, Motherwell haven't had a single shot on goal, and it looks like Bair and Wilkinson are back out for the second half, which I'm surprised about.
Well, there we are, just about to get underway again between St Mirren and Motherwell. Of course, Airdrie Ross County and Livingston Ayr United. The other games, surprised maybe that there's no change at half time for Motherwell, that Micah Beirith doesn't look as if he's coming on anyway.
Yeah, I'm surprised with that decision, especially hearing David talk about the two front men at Motherwell. It was the same last Sunday when I was watching them against. I didn't think they offered a lot, but Wilkinson got a goal, which, you know, gave him a bit of confidence. Bair come off that day and the substitution was made, and the impact was immediate. He lifted the full team, not just the forward line. So I would imagine another 10-15 minutes now, there must be, if there's no improvement, there must be a substitution ahead.
Yeah, definitely no Beirith still on the bench, confirms David Friel, and we are back underway for the second half.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get your essential medicines and vaccines before you head off on holiday.
Yes, underway for those second halves, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Teams still not out yet at Airdrie Ross County, that one running slightly behind, but can you see Airdrie getting back into that one at all?
No, they need a goal quickly.
They need that pitch to kick in, don't
yeah,
they? Yeah. And start playing up a bit.
Lindsay's hoping they don't, because he's the news to read at 5:30. But I think that if there's any hope at all, they need to get the next goal, and they have to get it quickly. But if Ross County come out, and they've obviously controlled the game, if they score the next one, it
sounds like they're good for a fourth goal rather than Airdrie are good for a second one.
Do you know what I was going to say? Joking about the pitch, but see at Airdrie, it's a huge area, and I think teams like Ross County, when they've got that creative spark in them, thrive in places like that, going away from home, and can knock it about. So fancy them strongly.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Well, let's get this underway as well.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Barry Ferguson and Darren Huckerby. I've been managed by Ian McCall and Alec McLeish. I was initially sent on loan to the club where I would go on to make my record number of appearances for. I have played European football for 2 different clubs, but have never scored. Who am I? So, played alongside Barry Ferguson and Darren Huckerby, managed by Ian McCall and Alec McLeish, initially sent on loan to the club where I would go on to make my record number of appearances, and I've played European football for 2 separate teams, but have never scored. Who am I?
Yeah, good one that. I appreciate it is quite wordy, so go to @ClydeSSB. You'll be able to see that in written form as well, and that's where you need to tweet us the answer as well. Make sure to get in there first as well, and you can get on the podium. A quizzical look from Gordon DL there.
A lot of information to absorb though.
Yeah, I'm just going to take my time. It's like a jigsaw, start with the outside and work in.
Yeah.
I'm narrowing it down, Hugh.
What's the outside pieces here you're starting with? Just so I can
I'm going to start
get in the same wavelength.
I'm going to start with the players he played with. I'm narrowing down the clubs with the managers that he played under.
Good strategy. I like that.
Yeah.
Colombo. We're watching Colombo at work.
Could you read the question?
No. As I say, @ClydeSSB, it's written out there. Looking forward to seeing who can get that one. You're looking pretty confused as well there, Mark.
Yeah, a lot of info. Last week's one was difficult as well. Hugh's obviously stepping up and
just start with Barry Ferguson, Darren Huckerby.
Huckerby's a big one.
Alec McLeish, Ian McCall.
Ian McCall's the one that's
I've thrown it a little bit, yeah. I've got to say, it's a Brighton Hugh.
Oh, look at that.
What a first name.
Yeah.
Great.
Pervis Estupinian.
Not many Pervises about these days, is there?
Do you know what? I'm really happy, not only for my grandkids, but Brighton have made an absolute fortune this window. A fortune, hundreds of millions of pounds.
Not just in this window as well, across the last year. Just from Chelsea, the money for manager, backroom staff, various players. It's
they've went around it the wrong way. They should actually just go for the recruitment team. Chelsea.
Yeah.
You know, because they've tried the manager, they're buying the players.
I think it's from the top down though. It's Tony Bloom, the owner, who is basically the mastermind behind it all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But he's going out and watching the games and
no. But he basically has the whole setup.
He's
essentially
he's the money ball guy.
Yeah, he was a big gambler. I think that's how he made his money.
Well, get him in. I mean, Chelsea are, if they're spending 700 million in transfer windows,
why would he give it up if they're just making hundreds of millions of pounds?
It's not getting in his pocket, is it? Just
no, he's the owner.
Well, maybe it is in his pocket.
Give it up.
We've got a vegan menu at the Amex.
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah, for the supporters, a vegan menu.
One of the answers for the first half teaser, Duncan Ferguson. He was at Forest Green Rovers, wasn't he, promoting the
didn't stay long, did he?
No, he wasn't.
It was a sad one for Dunk.
It did seem like a bit of a clash of personalities, maybe.
Yeah. Was it Dale Vince or Vince Dale, whichever way it is, who owns Forest Green? He looks a bit of a handful.
No early goals across Scotland in the second half so far. Already 5 minutes in some of those games, and of course the three o'clock matches in the League Cup as well. Some good games to look forward to tomorrow as well, Hugh.
Brilliant. Obviously Kilmarnock Celtic. Derek McInnes has been trying to fire up his players by going back to the Cup semi-final last season when Kilmarnock really ought to have had a penalty when Giacomakis went into the back of Joe Wright at Hampden. So that's intriguing, but most intriguing of all, will Celtic go with a central defensive partnership of Mike Nawrocki and Gustav Lagerbielke? Because Stephen Welsh is out for 2 months now. Carter Vickers, no one's saying just how bad this hamstring problem is, but he's certainly a non-starter. You could have Liam Scales, you could have Iwata playing in central defence, but if you have spent millions of pounds on Gustav Lagerbielke and Mike Nawrocki, then get them in.
Lagerbielke straight in for you, Mark?
I think so. Why not? Agree with you. If you've spent millions of pounds on them, and your kind of hand is forced with it anyway, so ideally you would say bring him in, get him to know the players and the club and bed him in as time goes on. But sometimes your hand's forced, and sometimes that works out the best way. He goes in, and he has to do a job straight away. So I would expect that. Celtic find themselves in an unfortunate position with their centre halves. Just all of a sudden everyone's picking up injuries, but they've acted quickly to get Lagerbielke in after Starfelt departed.
If you're Derek McInnes or any Kilmarnock player, you are entitled to say, oh boo-hoo, You've lost a couple of centre halves. You've only got these two who cost you £7.5 million. Is that all you've got?
I'm not sure there's many complaints about it though. It's just the debate about whether a new player starts or not.
Well, like
because Celtic still do have options. Yuki Kobayashi could play, Liam Scales could play, but I think joining the dots, it maybe doesn't look as if they have much of a future at Celtic.
Tomorrow's match is not the match for Kobayashi. He does not have the physicality about him. Kyle Vassell would have him all over the place. Liam Scales, why would you spend £7.5 million on two centre backs and play someone that you've just brought back from his loan spell at Aberdeen and might send him back out to Aberdeen? So I really do think you won't get a second chance at this. If you don't play them together and take your chances and you go out, then that's you.
People talk about throwing a player in on an artificial surface, but I think they're quite prevalent in Sweden. He'll have played on them quite a lot, so he's also mid-season as well. They're a summer season over there, so he should be up to speed.
I think he's a certainty to start. I think Mark makes a good point that your hands forced. I think that they brought him in to be that player with probably Carter Vickers maybe forming that partnership. So yeah, I know it's not the ideal situation because everybody talks about the pitch away from home at Kilmarnock. It's going to be a difficult game, but there's nothing better for a player get thrown in at the deep end. Let's see what you've got. He surely can handle that. He's came at a big cost. He's came with high prospects. I think he'll play tomorrow.
That's the point exactly, Gordon. When Celtic played at Aberdeen last weekend, Jack McKenzie, the Aberdeen player, said after the game that he felt, and other Aberdeen players felt, that a few of the Celtic players were toiling with the intensity of it all. Now, if you're toiling with intensity and you have Rangers to come at Ibrox on the 3rd of September and the Champions League draw is going to be made a few days before that on August 31, if you're toiling with intensity, you're of no use to Celtic.
Hold on a minute. Jack McKenzie said that after the game.
Yeah.
He's been beat 3-1.
Yep.
So if they're toiling with intensity, where does that put his own side? That's more a concern for me.
I suppose people would then point to the fact that Celtic are expected to win the game. They've got a much bigger budget. But
I mean, when you're on the field 11v11, players don't chat to each other on the pitch about budgets. You got to do the job. To be beat 3-1 and come out and say, by the way, that opposition that beat us were toiling with intensity.
It's not a great look after you've just lost 3-1. Half a chance for Airdrie there. Craig Watson shoots wide from a tight angle. Stephen O'Donnell has been booked for Motherwell as well. And a good save by Zach Hemming from Theo Bair. A 25-yard volley tipped over. Wasn't involved too much in the first half, Theo Bair, but he's had a chance there.
Yeah, look, he got off to a great start up at Dens Park. Got his first goal just on the stroke of half time. It was well documented. He's not a prolific goal scorer, as his record shows. But as I say, I watched him at Fir Park. I was very disappointed in him. I think there's more to his game than what he showed that day. He gets substituted, but it's a good opportunity to get back on the horse this afternoon and get a goal and get your team right back in this cup tie.
Yeah, well, Motherwell, they are pushing. Dan Casey heads wide from a corner and they have made a change. Who's coming on, Gordon?
No idea.
Lennon Miller. I thought I was setting it up for you to say like a beer there.
There's absolutely no chance I'd have fallen into that.
Lennon Miller
good to see him
coming on for Davor Surakovsky.
Well, it was a surprise I'm not playing. David said about he understood
burnout.
about burnout. Not for me at this time of the season. Young players need to play football, especially when they're on that high a breaking into first team. Like Stuart Keltwell knows how to handle young players, but I don't think there's any chance that Lennon Miller will be thinking, I'm feeling a bit tired. And
he's been pivotal as well. It's not as if it's a 16-year-old that's just getting some game time. He's been contributing in a big way too.
Yeah.
He's a good player, boy. He's a very, very good player.
We watched a 16-year-old play for Rosenborg against Hearts, who looks a truly gifted footballer who will be a global sensation. And I go back to this point about cutting players slack. Lennon Miller's days away from his 17th birthday. That doesn't make him an old man, but we've got to trust him. If
I think you do have a duty to protect young players though as well.
Yeah, you can protect young players in January, February if they've been playing week in, week out.
Yeah.
But come
August.
Come on, you're kidding yourself on. How many first team games the boy played? He's 17, his next birthday, not that far away. There's absolutely no chance you're looking and thinking, we'll protect him of a burnout here. That's nonsense, even in the modern day game. And the young boy will be bursting to get on there and play as much football. When you were 16 and 17, you would play 3 games a week. You know, you're desperate to play. I know the game's
you then see
changed.
it quite a lot at times as well, where players will play a lot when they're 16, 17, and they do have that burnout towards the end of their career, that they end up paying for it towards the end of the career. They don't have the longevity of players that have maybe been eased in.
How many games has he played this season?
He's probably played 4 or 5, but I'm thinking about it in the long run. Maybe this is the plan across the season, is not to play him every single game. Maybe it's to play a few. I don't think he'll play every single game. I'm not saying that, but to turn round and we're still in August, he's played about 4 games, if probably round about that. And to talk about we need to protect him of a burnout, I think's absolutely nonsense.
Will you have a look at
David
those?
Friel's listening to us just now. Why didn't I say that?
Will you have a look at those mighty seagulls?
He does say that Motherwell are starting to play a bit now as well. Whether that's
David's gone, when I said burnout, I didn't even really mean burnout.
But listen, Motherwell won't get a second chance to remain in the competition. So get him on, because he might be the one that keeps you in the competition, might get you to extra time, might even win it in regulation time for you. You won't get a second chance. Today's the day they're playing the cup tie.
Well, he is on, and Motherwell are looking better for it as well. I don't know if you've seen Davor, sort of easy for me to say.
Yeah.
Sort of
Go on, Andrew. Go on.
See when the name started with ZD, it's not great, is it?
Yeah.
Strakovsky.
Who
he came off for.
Is it
Have you seen his tattoo? He's got a tattoo on the front of his neck, just in small letters that says "Born to Win."
Oh, I like that.
Just by itself, it's not part of a bigger piece. Just the 3 letters "Born to Win" that you have in that.
How do you feel about that when you get a hiding?
Yeah, it's not great, is it? It's quite easy to point to if you've just been knocked out of the League Cup.
Or you're 70 years old.
He's got
Born to Win.
No,
I would get Born to Run.
He's got a good number of scars.
I would go with the boss.
Have you ever thought about getting any of your catchphrases tattooed on you, Hugh?
No, it's a form of self-mutilation. I deeply disapprove of tattoos.
Self-mutilation.
Anyone who has a tattoo.
Great advert for tattoo studios all over
What you say
Glasgow.
here, by the way, you're about to say anyone that has a tattoo, which is quite a lot.
And there's
of
one standing
the
next to
population.
you.
Hold on, what are you going to say here? Because
Anyone who has a
thing to say.
tattoo suffers from arrested mental development.
That's got to be
On that note,
offensive.
Cove Rangers 3-0. Mitch Megginson with the goal. He's also
light
just
up the phone
turned
lines.
to producer Ross in the booth, who is covered in tattoos and with his arms outstretched.
He's got more tattoos than Popeye.
David Wilson has scored for Dumbarton, 1-1 with Forfar in that game, as Hugh Keevins offends half the nation out there.
More than half. It's the thing now, Hugh.
I repeat, boo-hoo.
He's on one. That pastor's really gave him that energy to kick on now.
Right, Hugh, let's hear that teaser again.
I'm struggling with this.
Too difficult.
You're normally quite good at these as well.
Anybody got it yet, Andrew?
Oh, just having a look now.
You get a free tattoo if you can get this one. I have played alongside Barry Ferguson and Darren Huckerby. I have been managed by Ian McCall and Alex McLeish. I was initially sent on loan to the club where I would go on to make my record number of appearances. I have played European football for 2 separate clubs but have never scored. Who am I?
You're stumping a few people on Twitter here, not seeing.
I'm
seeing any correct
never scored
answers
ever, Hugh.
so
or
far.
in those European games that you talking about?
In the European games.
Oh, right, okay. I thought never.
You said never.
I've played European football for 2 separate clubs, but I've never scored. Never scored in Europe.
Right. So I'm thinking goalkeeper.
Right, okay.
No. He was a very good goal scorer.
Oh, there's a clue.
Oh, come on.
There's a clue. Let's go through some answers on Twitter. Rico says Andy Webster.
Hold on. I might have a wee shout.
Rico says Andy Webster. He's maybe thinking of the
Andy
doesn't
Webster
score thing.
was a fullback, wasn't he?
Yeah, maybe he had the same confusion as Gordon. Peter Gray says Billy Dodds.
No.
A couple of shouts for Francis. Was that exactly who you
I've
put
not
there?
finished writing Dodds yet.
Unbelievable. Great timing. A couple of shouts for Francis Jeffers.
The fox in the box, no.
I think maybe a few people have been confused by the wording because there's a few goalkeepers and defenders.
Yeah, I
in
went
here.
David's going goalkeeper.
Never scored in Europe.
Yeah.
Man with a tattoo would have read that out clearer.
I'm not sure about that.
To be fair, not that the clue really gives anything in terms of position away at all. But
hold on, I'm going something else.
Let's see Dazzler. We've just said that's not the answer.
Oh, did you? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Andy Webster, the way he held that up there, like that was the one. Andrew just read that out.
So excited.
Andy Webster.
What's the next guest? Francis Jeffers.
I've got a sweat up.
Kelty Hearts 2-0 up on Alloa. Ross Cunningham with the goal. A red card for Alexis McAllister at Liverpool. Serious foul play. Not a great start to his Liverpool career.
That's what he gets for leaving Brighton.
Look at Brighton.
4-1.
And do you know something?
I
watched him against Manchester United and I thought they were fantastic. I thought that's going to be a difficult game. But
robbed of a penalty that we were giving an equaliser.
Yeah, then they stood down the officials for it, Hugh.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any correct answers on the teaser at all.
Well, we'll soldier on.
Yeah, if it continues, I might give a wee
give a
clue later on.
Yeah.
That's a difficult one, this one. Anyway.
What did we
look
say?
at this man here.
They do come back. Queen of the South 2, Annan Athletic 1. Gavin Riley with the goal.
I'm not listening to Wednesday night. It'll be insufferable.
Tactical genius, that man is.
He earns his money at half time.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Tactical genius.
The Poundland Pep.
You'll be in bed with that tracksuit on tonight, let me tell you. I have never seen him without a Livingston or a Queen of the South tracksuit. Have you?
No.
Every time he comes in here.
Not been brushing up for the TV cameras, is it?
No, just
during the week.
No, he's
full tracky.
Full tracky, MB. That's all he does.
It's wearing off now. See the old Ireland stuff to come into studio. Apart from one guy,
it's like week 3.
This guy is obviously.
The
He's obviously got a 3-pack of Ralph Lauren polo shirts because he's rotating the colours.
And he was obviously well aware that we're not being broadcast today on the live stream either.
He's come in with a jammy top on.
Hold on a minute, that's the top of the range. What does that say up there?
You got your climbing gear in.
Oh, the North Face, yeah. Hugh, that's a real McCoy.
Spartans 1, Elgin City 0. James Cragen with the goal for Spartans.
Son of who?
Not Stephen Cragen.
Nah, I was only kidding. That's it.
Spartans will be a good one to see how they do this year. You know, a good community club. You know, been playing away at that Lowland League level for a long time now, but
it's always interesting when teams come up from the Lowland League or the Highland League to see how they'll compete.
Well, I think Spartans will be different for the rest of the ones that have come up. Kelty came up, Cove obviously came up, threw a lot of money at it and, you know, tried to get up through a division. Spartans will be different. Don't think they will throw a lot of money. They've got a good plan in place here, a good manager who's been there for a long time. Yeah, good on them. 1-0 up.
Well, remember, the open line is open. We will speak to you soon. 0141 951 1025. Rangers fans, I'm interested to know what you thought of that performance against Queen of the South today. Let's actually hear a bit more from Michael Beale, shall we? I think he's now looking ahead to PSV on Tuesday.
It's not going to be the same players that play. It's not going to be the same type of game. The other team's going to obviously throw a lot more at us in terms of possession and chances. That will open up spaces. It'll be a completely different type of game. Again, though, today we've had over 20 shots, and at some stage these chances have got to become goals, because otherwise you don't kill the game or you don't get the result where it needs to be, and everything becomes a little bit more tense than what it needs to be. Today's game was a carbon copy of Partick Thistle or Raith Rovers at home last year.
And well, we heard from Michael Beale, there's been one of these.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Livingston 2, Ayr United 0, and it's a goal for the Premiership side. They're in control at the Tony Macaroni Arena, and they're looking good to get through to the next round.
Who scored?
I'm still waiting confirmation.
You think it'll be
Nubly?
Montano.
Christian Montano.
Yeah.
There we go.
Much is expected from me and in Hugh this afternoon. Rangers obviously getting through, St Mirren ahead, Livy now confirming that too up in Ross County. Looks like they're going to win as well, so no surprises.
I wouldn't go too early. St Mirren and Motherwell are still finally in the balance, and we've still a substitution to be made.
Well, let's go to the phones, shall we? Let's reflect on that Rangers win earlier on today. Let's speak to Matt, who's a Rangers fan in Pollock. Matt, what did you make of the performance?
Shocking, absolutely shocking. And Michael Beale needs to get a grip himself and tell the truth. He's not got the depth of squad that he thinks he's got. It was a poor display today. When Morton got the penalty, the camera on Beale's sitting in the dugout looking at this wee screen. I thought he was trying to get SuperScoreBoard live stream. He asked Gordon Dalziel what to do next.
Probably.
I think, to be fair, he wasn't looking at the screen. It was Boogie Emery, the Morton manager, who was looking at the screen. But when Morton got the goal, Michael Beale sprang into life and got a triple substitution organised, because in that instant Michael Beale could see the headlines in the newspapers, hear the calls on SuperScoreBoard, and be left with no doubt whatsoever that the Rangers fans weren't buying into all of this. The whole season long, domestically and in Europe, Rangers have gone from high to low and back to high and back down to low again.
Matt, are you seeing any signs of progress, or are you concerned heading into Tuesday's game?
I'm very concerned, and I've got asked this two football managers sitting with you. Could you ask them a question? Would they take the risk in moving Tavernier to right back into midfield because he's a goal scorer? Because the goal we lost on Tuesday night was a disgrace. Tavernier was on the penalty spot, and the guy was the other side of where he scored the goal from.
We hear it all the time with James Tavernier. Matt saying moving forward, Dujon Sterling came in today. Did he show enough that he would be a player to displace James Tavernier currently?
Not in today's evidence, certainly not. We saw very little of him from a defensive point of view, which is his strong point. From an attacking point of view, crossing way off it, and that's James Tavernier's greatest attribute, as well as his goal scoring. That's all came from right back. Now it sounds simple, you move him forward, they'll score even more goals, or he'll assist even more. Doesn't work like that, unfortunately. James Tavernier knows that position inside out. He knows where the right positions to cross it from. He knows how to get into the back post, where he scores his goal the other night. So I think on today's evidence, now Sterling may come good. We may see evidence when he's asked to defend that you go, yeah, he's better than Tavernier from a defensive point of view. But Tavernier often gets the blame when things go wrong. But evident, you take him out the team loses a lot. And going forward, I thought even today, set pieces, they missed Tavernier's delivery, so I wouldn't be in any rush to move him forward at this minute.
Matt, is James Tavernier the biggest issue in that Rangers team, or are there maybe more pressing things for Michael Beale to look at, whether that's maybe the final third and some of the attacking football we've seen?
Well, we hear all the time that the players need to gel. We made 8 changes today, and we've got a big important game on Tuesday night against BNSV. Why did you not play starting 11 and let these players that he keeps saying need to gel?
Well, Matt, I hate to break it to you, but you're agreeing with me there, which isn't really a great thing for people. But I made the point that I think that for that very reason, Matt, if you have all your new signings and you are trying to gel and you are so close to the PSV game, now all we're going to talk about from now until 6 o'clock is which part of Rangers' game did you not like, and there's a negative tone to a positive result because they are in the draw tomorrow for the last 8. But we're going to talk about peripheral players who came in and didn't do enough, with the honourable exception of Matondo, and the other honourable exception was Hadji. The rest, for example, Kieran Dowell, how many times did we say he was utterly anonymous in the game? I'm with Matt, and I said it at the very start of the programme. I think you grab the initiative, get your best 11, or what you believe to be your best 11, out on the park, get a positive result, a really undeniably positive result against Morton, and carry the momentum into the PSV game.
couple of goals going in there. Ryan Oney, the 16-year-old at Hamilton, getting on the score sheet, putting them 2-0 up. Queen's Park 1-0 up away to Arbroath as well. Rory Payton on the score sheet there. But I'll go back to you, Matt, because you look at the signings. There's been a lot, pointed at maybe the attacking signings that Michael Beale has made. Do you have faith that they will, come good in time?
No, because I think Celtic went to M&S to buy the players, and we went to Aldi. And I hope he's kept the receipts to send it back.
maybe a tad harsh there, but
not with Aldi.
There are some that are taking longer than others. As I say, the goalkeeper for me is outstanding. An unqualified success so far. In last season's signings, Raskin, Cantwell were sorely missed today, and that will be a big help against PSV. Up front, misfiring. Sima, Dessers, Danilo. There's no one that fills you with confidence right now on a consistent basis.
Other supermarkets are available. By the way, but just to say, in terms of what Matt is saying there, Rangers have gone out and bought players from Serie A clubs. They've bought a Feyenoord striker who's scored goals for them. It's not as if they've been buying players from the Scottish Championship or anything like that. They have been buying players from been playing at a good level.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty evident that Michael Beale doesn't know what his best combination is, because he keeps changing it. Opening day of the season, Dessers and Sima up there, then Danilo comes on. Last week, who did we have? We had Danilo and Dessers up with Lammers in around them. Today we had Dessers, who started the game, with Lammers up there, and then Danilo has to come on. So he doesn't really know. We've had Sima come on in flashes as well. I don't think he really knows who his number one striker. Now, we all may comment and go, by the way, Dessers looks off it, Danilo looks your best bet, but on what Michael Beale's picking so far, I'm not too sure. And then you even look at Danilo midweek and the miss that he had there. So I can see why he doesn't know what his best options are at the minute, because he's brought these players in and not one of them is really standing out and going, I'm your number one guy up front, pick whoever else run about me out the rest of them. He's not really got a standout option.
I've not got a big problem about today in the sense. Was it a good performance? No, let's not kid on. It was a poor performance, but all credit to Dougie Emery and Morton. I thought they were excellent, the way they were lined up and the way they worked for each other. But making 8 changes, it's not a problem for me, because the manager's looking to the biggest game of the season so far on Tuesday night. He's thinking, I've got enough players in this squad, and it's a squad rotation game now, that I've got to make sure is fit at any time to come in and replace somebody that's injured or suspended. So I can totally take that on board. He believes that those players he picked today should be good enough to go and comfortably beat Morton, but didn't happen. But I have no problem whatsoever with him making 8 changes with one eye on Tuesday night, because that's his big game. He's protected his players, that's it. Some managers do it, some don't. I hear the argument what Hugh's saying and Matt. Listen, there's no rights or wrong. It's how you feel as a manager and a coach, the best way to prepare your team for a big game.
I think Daz is right there, Andrew. Sorry, that he's protected his players. One, he's rested some of them, but I think even with his post-match comments, I've been in dressing rooms before where the managers came in and absolutely tore through the team. Gordon Strachan, quite frequent with him when we didn't live up to the standards, but he would go out and after the game he would say, yep, it's been a long week and we've done this and that, and kind of try to sidetrack the press. But we all knew sitting in the dressing room what the real feeling was. So I just wonder if it's that for Michael Beale, because there's no way that can be acceptable. Dress up whichever way you want. It's a championship side, Morton with 4 substitutes, and you're going down to the last minute where Morton could have grabbed something at the end. New players have to step up, and they have to step up quickly.
Matt, do you think there will be a big difference midweek with the likes of Todd Cantwell, Nicholas Raskin back in the team, John Souttar potentially as well?
It's up front's the problem. I'm 62 and the greatest centre forward ever committed a ball up, 64 goals in the season. I'm taking my boots down to Ibrox on Tuesday night and going to play up front for Rangers, because the strike force is terrible, man. Absolutely terrible. For the money we pay for players and all this, it's the Scottish game, and you need to get used to it. Danilo missed a sitter. Tuesday night, a tap-in. The 3 players that we have bought have on this sitters open goals. And for to be a striker.
And he comes off the bench today and scores, doesn't he, Matt?
Aye, but I'm saying that this argument and that he's saying has been a long week. Let Michael Beale come with me. My working day, a 48-hour shift for the week. You knows how long a week is.
There's no denying that Tuesday night will bring everything into clearer perspective. Rangers went to Kilmarnock and just couldn't handle it and lost on the opening day of the league season. The Livingston game last week, Michael Beale, by his own admission, after 3 goals in the last 12 minutes, it looked much better than it actually had been. Today, the same old story. PSV are a team off the back of scoring 7 goals home and away against Sturm Graz. They are clearly a better PSV than the one that Rangers knocked out of Europe last season. They will put Rangers under the microscope on Tuesday in a way that few other teams will be able to do. And we'll know the full story about Rangers on Tuesday night, because they're going to be asked an awful lot of many hard questions, and forward-going players in particular are going to have to establish a platform for Rangers in the Netherlands.
But it's fine lines, Hugh. If Michael Beale gets a positive result on Tuesday night, everybody will say that he got today right. Although the performance, listen, we're not kidding about the performance. They're in the next round, they've won, right? So if he gets a positive result on Tuesday night, everybody will look back and say he called it right. It's fine lines in football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tuesday night is a yardstick to see where Rangers have went in the last year. Because if Giovanni Van Bronckhorst got so much criticism and lost his job for some of the heavy beatings and performances in the Champions League, got to remember at this stage of the season he negotiated this tie against the same side. Now we're saying PSV are a much better side now than they were last year, but why is Rangers regressed then? Why are they not a much better side with a different coach who's had 2 transfer windows? So that Tuesday night presents a place where Michael Beale can't hide anymore and say it's not my squad and we've still got time to build. Van Bronckhorst negotiated his way through the tie last year and it came with all the riches and glamour. Michael Beale has to do the same.
Well, thank you to Matt. 64 goals in a season, by the way, not bad.
Yeah,
decent return that.
Yeah, 64 goals in a season.
He could have played 300 games in that time.
How many 5-a-side games did he play?
He's gone now. I was going to bring him back in.
Hold on, Hugh, the teaser again, because we're
too hard, Hugh.
We're getting killed here. Andy get that right?
Is Andy got it?
I'll have a look and see. Certainly, last time I checked, there was no correct answers.
Right.
Robbie Boyd. Read it out again, Hugh.
I have played alongside Barry Ferguson and Darren Huckerby. I've been managed by Ian McCall and Alec McLeish. I was initially sent on loan to the club where I would go on to make most appearances for. I played in Europe for 2 different teams but never scored a goal in Europe. Who am I?
Robbie Boyd says Stephen Dobie.
No.
David says Gary O'Connor.
No.
Declan Cassidy's gone for Stephen Thompson.
Nope.
Sandy got
I'm not seeing any correct answers. Adam Marshall says Michael Ball. No. Patrick Walsh says John Daly.
Nope.
Difficult. I went Derek McInnes.
Nope. No. Not Derek McInnes either.
Got the old Dean McCall, Dundee United.
Yeah.
One he's played before.
Has Andy got it? No.
I'll give you another clue. Is that add Gordon Dalziel to the list of players this player played with.
He's played with. Oh, now you should get that.
And played with Mark Wilson.
Oh, you're joking.
Oh, you should get that.
I've got it.
Who is it?
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, there
yes. Thank you, Andrew.
The clue was too easy for Mark there.
Thank you. You're old mucker.
Don't say
no
it.
No more clues. There we go. We need the people at home to get it.
Bennett, how did I not get that?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Just all click together. That is a tough one. I'll give you that.
Alec McLeish, where was Alec McLeish? Hold on.
Incidentally, Gordon Bennett is not the answer to the question.
Yes, Gordon Bennett is not the answer.
Oh, right, okay.
The Barton 2, 4-1, Finlay Gray. There was also a goal for Marvin Bartley's Queen of the South as well.
Yeah, 3-1.
Cruising old Marv.
Yeah.
Half-time team talk.
Looking good. It's pretty quiet, I think, across the games. Motherwell still trying to get back in it against St Mirren. Free kick 25 yards out. It was Shane Blaney to take it. We know he can't hit them from there, but that one went over the bar, was poor in the end. Some substitutions taking place as well.
Well, that's a beauty at this time of the cup games, that you have to go all or nothing. You know, Hugh's right, they're out, so teams like Motherwell have to throw everything they've got at it. There's no point of return.
Fascinating tomorrow's games. We've mentioned Celtic at Kilmarnock, but Hibs and Hearts gave us just a fabulous night in Europe. And now come the banana skins. Partick Thistle going to Tynecastle. Hibs have got Wraith Rovers who did for Motherwell in the Cup last season and cost Stevie Hamill his job. And Hibs seem to just go up and down, up and down, up and down under Lee Johnson's management. So they were sensational, the pair of them, in Europe. And now it's banana skin time.
We were close to us. When we went off air on Thursday, we were getting scrutinised from Gordon because we said we fancied Hearts.
Keevins,
and Hibs to go out. And
I think you'll find
close.
I think you'll find that close is not right.
Honestly, see when the team scored against Hibs, I was texting you going, how's your prediction? Then I went, Hibs have just scored, I'll leave that one.
FC Edinburgh, or Edinburgh City as they are again, 0, Hamilton 3, Conor Murray with the goal for them. Stranraer had an equaliser against Bonnyrigg Rose as well. Darren Lang with the goal.
They've changed their name again back to Edinburgh City, haven't
they?
Back to FC Edinburgh.
No. They were FC Edinburgh for a couple of seasons, and they're now
hold
back
on
to
a minute.
Edinburgh City.
You better tell whoever's on the teleprinter.
Yeah, they've
get
got
that sorted wrong.
It was changed again during the summer.
So they're now Edinburgh City.
They're Edinburgh City again.
They'll be Edinburgh Capital next week.
Yes, I'm not sure I was ever sold on the FC Edinburgh rebrand. Were they trying to go a bit continental?
Yeah, it's a bit La Liga, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that was an MLS side that did that, didn't they? Real Salt Lake.
Yeah. Not happening.
It's not good, is it?
No.
Not great. Blackburn 1, Hull 1 there. Aaron Connolly with a goal. There's a red card though for FC Edinburgh / Edinburgh City. Second bookable offence for Lee Hamilton.
Well, I had to playing against Hamilton, of course. That Hamilton are flying this season, so you know John Rankins had to go through some tough times, but he's got a side together that are sitting top of that league. They are favourites to go up. But good on him, I like John, hard worker.
Well, while there is a bit of a lull in the games, I'll tell you about this, Hugh. I'm wondering if you can guess whose voice this is. They've been speaking to us about the Celtic story, which is back after 20 years, a stage show with Celtic songs. I'm sure something that Celtic fans will be looking forward to going along to. Tickets are available for that. We've been speaking to someone about that. See if you can guess the voice.
My plan is to come and to see, very anxious to see the Celtic story show going on at the Armadillo, and of course primarily to be at the first event, which is on the 31st of August, to support the Celtic Charity Foundation, which will benefit from that first night. That's my main reason for being there, and I'm looking forward to it very much. I'm sure many other supporters are.
Any guesses, Hugh?
That man gave me the most interesting period of my journalistic life, and my journalistic life has lasted 54 years. And when Fergus McCann came over here from North America, he was Celtic's saviour. The Celtic story, a major part of it is Fergus McCann, because the club was on its way to closure, and Fergus McCann, with hours to spare, saved Celtic. And I remember when he came over here with what he called his prospectus, and we were asked to leave Celtic Park, Fergus McCann and I, by the previous regime. And we went outside. It's a match day, and we went outside to the SuperScoreBoard Jeep, which was in the car park at Celtic. And Fergus explained his plan to save Celtic, to build a new stadium, to bring the club into the modern day. And as we spoke, the fans were going by and pounding the Radio Clyde Jeep and shouting their support for Fergus McCann. And I went home that night and I said to my wife, I've just had the most unbelievable, exhilarating day as a journalist. And there's this wee man called Fergus McCann, and he's amazing. And on the final day, people were rushing into Celtic Park. And if you've ever seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life, at the very end where people come in and throw money on a table to save a man, they were coming into Celtic Park and they were throwing down money and saying, this is from my brother in Canada, this is from my aunt in New Zealand. Globally, the fans got behind them, and about 10 o'clock that night, after being in the ground for I think about 13 hours, out in the car park, Brian Dempsey, the man who had brought Fergus McCann over from America, stood and said that the famous words, the battle is over, the rebels have won. And I have never seen anything like it in my life. And Fergus McCann then was as good as his word. He rebuilt Celtic Park. He gave the fans the team, the ground, and the image, which had been bashed by almost going out of business. So Fergus McCann, without question, ranks alongside Brother Walford, Jockstein, Billy McNeil as the greatest Celtic people.
Yeah, a huge part of the Celtic story. Here is Fergus telling us a bit more about the stage show, The Celtic Story.
Well, it's the whole history of the club, and it goes back way back to the end. And I think what's good about it is it ends with the foundation. Don't forget, the club started in a way as a kind of a foundation, and basically to help the dinner tables on the east end of Glasgow. So I think it's just as important to be part of that, and to. And I think most of that, suppose, will want to see the show in any case, because I just want to see the whole. I do not see it back in 1988, of course. So I'm looking forward to being part of that and being there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something you Celtic fans out there will enjoy. We've got one of these.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Airdrieonians 2, Ross County 3. Callum Gallagher with the goal from the penalty spot, his second of the day, and it could be in for pretty intriguing finish to the game.
Nervy finish, Hugh.
What's Ryan Leake doing?
With nervy finish. Let me just say, I was going to go and see that Celtic story, but you've wasted it for me now. I know the story. There's no point going along. But you're right, nervy finish. If Airdrie can just put them under a little bit more pressure.
No chance. That game's over. Not
in today's. There'll be millions of time added on.
Met Fergus McCann one time, Hugh. Fenway Park, lucky enough to play there. Home of the Boston Red Sox, and went along, and Fergus was there waving to the crowd, and he came in the dressing room just before the game. And a lot of the players that time, who foreign players, maybe no idea who this guy was and why the crowd, the supporters were bowing to this man. But interesting character.
When he left, he put in I think initially around about £9 million to keep Celtic going, and then had a share issue that was astonishing. And when he had done everything, he said he would stay for 5 years, and he was as good as his word, and he transformed the club. And on his very last day, the game was in progress. I was in the press box for SuperScoreBoard, and I looked across to my left hand side, and Fergus simply got up and he walked down the stairs and went away. The game was still going on. He didn't stay for the fanfare of trumpets. He just quietly left the ground. And this was the man who had saved the club.
Reminds me of me at Ayr.
Sounds like you.
Yeah, it does.
Sounds like you. You've taken that on to every game.
Fergus obviously done his homework and went, look the way Dazzler left there.
Fans loved it. Engine ready outside.
He got up, he walked out in his car, boom.
It's getting a bit tasty between Clyde and Peterhead. Both players have just had a player sent off there. So both down to 10 men in that game.
Wow. Fergus, quirky little guy. He would get into a taxi, and in the rear view mirror, people would say, Fergus McCann. And they would immediately, as they do here on this programme, they will tell you what they think, and they will not be stopped. But Fergus used to say, don't talk, just drive.
And what sort of accent was that?
He disguising his voice.
From New
I'll
York.
disguise my voice here so they don't think I'm Fergus McCann.
Sounds like Al Capone. There.
That's the way, you get things done. Don't talk, just drive.
I was also just wondering as well that the Celtic fans banging on the Jeep, shouting their support for him, how did they do that and also shout abuse to you at the same time?
No, I hadn't quite put on the...
He had his moustache at that time, though, remember, Andrew? They recognised him.
No, that was Dermot Desmond. I wasn't quite the panto villain that I am now, but I'll never ever forget that day, because when you see a club as big as Celtic coming as close to going out of business, and they called him the Bunnet. This man arrived with his Bunnet and people laughed at him. They truly laughed at him. This guy is going to save Celtic, but he did.
Full-time whistles fast approaching, Hugh, so let's do this first.
The second half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Hold on, because of this.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Mark Wilson said no, that game's over. Airdrie 3, Ross County 3, Josh O'Connor with the goal, and that one could well be heading to extra time.
These two boys to my right, silent all of a sudden. Silent.
We were
quickly the teaser.
I played alongside Barry Ferguson and Darren Huckerby. I was managed by Ian McCall and Alec McLeish. I was initially sent on loan to the club, where I would go on to make my record number of appearances. I played in European football for 2 separate clubs, but never scored a goal in Europe. Who am I? I'm Stevie Crawford.
Stevie Crawford, of course, played with Gordon Dalziel, played with Mark Wilson. Maybe that was the clue.
Hold on a minute, what club was he in loan to that he went on to make record appearances?
Dunfermline.
Must have been, yeah.
No, he's not the record appearance holder for them.
No,
it's that he made.
He played more for that club than any other.
Anyway, I think the clue of the fact that you two both played with him then sparked something out there, because people started to get it. In third place, Michael Donati. In second place on the podium, Ronnie Meldrum. But well done to I Need Your Mikey. First place, and you were quickest to get it.
Tough one. Couple of tough ones in recent weeks. Stevie Crawford, a hard one though. So Barry Huckerby and
Millwall.
Yeah, it was a loan spell at Millwall, I think it was. Yeah,
because he followed Jimmy Nicholl. I was the only one at
Ferguson at Scotland. McLeish at Scotland.
Level.
Okay.
Yeah. Have we any news from Burnout down in Paisley? A 1-1 yet? Motherwell pressing for this extra time?
Still 1-0. Still 1-0 to St Mirren. I think we are deep into injury time in that game, as we are with all the games. So the full-time whistles will be going shortly. They are going down the divisions. Hamilton with a good 3-0 win over Edinburgh City. Kelty Hearts have beaten Alloa 2-1. Adam Brown has scored in injury time to make it Stenhousemuir 2, East Fife 0.
Malky Mackay will be disgusted. 3-1 up and now heading for extra time. The club, the most northerly club in the country, they'll be back home for midnight at this rate.
Olasanya has just hit the post for St Mirren. They're pushing to kill that game off at the death, but it's still 1-0.
Yeah, sore one for Ross.
Did we get added on time in Paisley? Sorry, Andrew,
I'm not sure how long it was. No,
Mind
of course, no VAR. I don't think in that game, so it shouldn't be as long. Depending. David Friel saying, "Don't mention extra time, please."
We must have something on tonight. Oh dear.
What about Lindsay? Lindsay at Airdrie.
I think he's in for a bit of a longer shift, half an hour extra.
Lindsay's been in here since 6 o'clock.
Full time at Livingston against Ayr United. Dave Galloway.
Yeah, Livingston 2, Ayr United 0. Livingston took a 12th minute lead with a well-crafted goal. Curtis Guthrie picked out Christian Montano, who fired in a cross to leave Joel Newbley with a simple finish. Ayr United responded positively. They had claims for a penalty rejected after a ball into the box. And veteran winger Aidan McGeady showed good control but failed to bother Shamal George with his effort. At the other end, Stephen Kelly tested Robbie Much with a 25-yard free kick. But overall, quite a disappointing first half. And Livy, they did make a lively start after the interval, it has to be said. A neat passing move saw Joel Newbley cut the ball back for Stephen Kelly, but he shot over the bar. Croix. The visitors threatened with some lovely build-up play, however Paddy Redding's powerfully struck drive was blocked. But Livingston doubled their lead after 64 minutes. Christian Montano from close range bundling home following a through ball, and it was almost 3-0 when Anderson cut back for Montano, whose drive was deflected behind. Fraser Bryden missed a golden chance to pull a goal back late on for Ayr United from point blank range. Shamal George though making a vital save. Overall a good day for Livy. It's finished Livingston 2, Ayr United 0.
It is also full time in Paisley. St Mirren against Motherwell. David Friel.
Full time, Andrew. St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. Caelan Boyd-Munn's first ever goal for St Mirren has sent them into quarter-finals. The midfielder has been asked to step in for influential captain Mark Ahara. He also steps up the goals, and Boyd-Munn's delivered big time for Stephen Robinson with a spectacular winner. Must be the goal of the round. St Mirren overall deserved the win. Motherwell were a lot better after the break. They had some chances but paid the price for a poor first half display. It's a huge win for Stephen Robinson and his players against his old club. St Mirren are just now one game away from a Hampden semi-final. They started really well, scored what proved to be the winner in just 9 minutes. The ball fell to Boyd-Munn's 20 yards out and he found the top corner with a brilliant drive. Keanu Bacchus came close to adding a second before the break, but Motherwell did improve in the second half. Theo Bair had a stunning volley tipped over by Zach Hemming. What a save it was. Conor Wilkinson also came close at the back post after a Mika Barrett cross, but St Mirren had chances to kill the game. Conor McMahon was sent through, his shot was blocked. Koyosi Olasanya then came on, he had a shot, Sabine Kelly, he then hit the post in the dying stages. Motherwell, they tried to throw everything at St Mirren, but one goal was enough for the buddies. Full time, St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0.
They join Aberdeen and Rangers in the hat for the next round. Livingston in there as well. Still not full time between Airdrie and Ross County. 3-3. Can you see any late drama, Mark?
Well, don't take my advice. I thought that game was done and dusted before. Like, you've got to give huge credit to Airdrie, because, you know, Ross County, we've already made a case for them how good they're looking, and when you go 3-1 behind against a Premiership side, then you bang up against it. But Rhys McCabe has got this side full of belief. I said earlier on, everything's looking good, everything's on the way up for them, and they've managed to, well, spring an upset, and it looks like extra time's on the cards for Lindsay, unfortunately. But in other games, professional job by St Mirren, professional job done by Livy. Over to Ross County now, because that would be a huge shock if they got it.
Yeah, remember the open line is coming up next as well. We want to hear from you. 01419511025. Rangers fans, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on that performance in that 2-1 win over Morton earlier on. There is, of course, big games tomorrow as well. Edinburgh's Big Two, who had real success, didn't they, during the week in Europe. So, of course, Kilmarnock Celtic as well as at the same time. So, looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that. 01419511025. It is finally full time at the Excelsior Stadium between Airdrie and Ross County. Lindsay Heron.
Yeah, it finished at 3-3 here. Got unbelievable scenes here, Andrew. I mean, incredible. You thought Ross County were home and dry at half-time, 3-1 up, but they really didn't particularly trouble Airdrie in the second half. They looked to be trying to manage the game out and just cruise into this last stage of the competition, but my goodness, they were made to pay for it, and it's all down to super sub Josh O'Connor. He came on with about 20 minutes to go, won a penalty on the left hand side of the Ross County box, Jack Baldwin bringing him down, and up stepped Callum Gallagher to slam the ball into the net, and that gave the Diamonds new belief. And then incredibly, with just 2 minutes to go, O'Connor popped up again, a right foot drive from about 8 yards on the right side of the box to make it 3-3. It all started so well for Ross County. They were 2 up early, Kyle Turner and then Jordan White putting them ahead. Callum Gallagher got a goal back, and then Simon Murray scored just before half time to make it 3-1 Staggies. And we're thinking it's all looking good for Malky Mackay's men, but he can't be a very happy man down there on the touchline as he's trying to regroup his side for the extra 30 minutes which are coming up here at New Broomfield. The final score here is Airdrie 3, Ross County 3.
Yes, Lindsay will keep us updated with what's happening in extra time between Airdrie and Ross County. The only game to go to extra time, of course, and it's the open line up next, so get your calls in now. 01419511025.
After the action, it's your reaction. 01419511025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Full time in most of today's games. There is still one going ahead though, because
you
it
almost
is.
went there. You almost went there.
Throat wasn't good there. It is Airdrie 3, Ross County 3 at the end of that game, so it is going to extra time. Lindsay Heron is out at that game. He'll keep us updated on exactly what's happening. Remember, we want to hear from you. It's the open line 01419511025. Rangers fans, simple question for you: what did you make of that performance today? Any concerns heading into Tuesday night's game against PSV? Maybe you're a Celtic fan or a Kilmarnock fan looking ahead to tomorrow's match, or Hearts or Hibs fans as well, after your good week that you've had so far. And of course, big games today. St Mirren fans, another win for you, St Mirren. What have you made of it all, taken from it today, Hugh?
First thing, I'm thinking of Malcolm Mackay as they go into the extra time phase of the game. Malcolm Mackay was a central defender to trade, and he'll be offended by such a defensive display of incompetence to take 3-1 to 3-3. But that's his problem to deal with right now. Dougie Emery, he took Morton to Ibrox. I don't care who played for Rangers. They are, compared to his squad, a multi-million pound group of players. And Dougie Emery was very close to creating a massive shock today. And that's why the Rangers fans' comments will be so interesting, as we are hours away from PSV Eindhoven in the Champions League playoff.
Yeah, you would expect that a lot of the interest on the phones will be that Rangers performance.
Yeah, I think you'll get a mixed bag, obviously. I think you'll get ones that look at what the situation was today, the amount of changes leading up, protecting his players for Tuesday night's massive game. Then you'll get the other ones that say, well, hold on a minute, like Hugh quite rightly pointed out, he put out a decent team there with good players that should be able to take care of Morton, no problem, especially at home at Ibrox. And it was a terrible performance. Look, they dominated the game, they dominated the possession. Michael Beale talks about this 20 shots and whatever, but I think fans look at the bigger picture, look at the formation, the style of play, the pace of the play, the everything that Rangers do. I didn't see that today, but the most important thing is they won the game. And as I said, it's fine lines. If they won on Tuesday night and got a good result, Michael Beale will be known to say, right, that was the right decision today.
Let's go to the phones. 01419511025 is the number. Jamie in Uddingston has dialed. Jamie, what were your thoughts on that today?
Hi panel, hi guys.
Hello.
I thought it was very flat again. I thought it come off the back of the performance on Thursday night against Servette. Maybe a bit more injection in the team. Sorry wasting it, but no, there was nothing there again. I think as well, we get a point on Fashion Sakala. I think selling Fashion Sakala and bringing in Tima was a huge mistake. At the time I thought Fashion Sakala's a bit of headless chicken with no end product. But he ran for the badge and he would run and give it his all, whereas I think Tima is the same kind of player, but he doesn't run for the boat, he won't run for the badge. I think Tima's a bit of a headless chicken as well. He's got the pace of Fashion Sakala, but I just don't see any potential in Tima at all. I know it's still early in the season, but see what your opinions are on Tima.
There's no point in talking about Fashion Sakala or Alfredo Morelos or Scott Arfield or anybody else who left. No point whatsoever. They've gone. You have to deal with what you've got now. I
suppose it's all part of the decision-making process of the summer and the trading that Michael Beale has done, because, you know, Fashion Sakala maybe wasn't everyone's type of player, but he did pop up with goals. He did still get goals. Yes, he missed some big chances at times, but Jamie's just saying that he doesn't feel he was adequately replaced.
One of the reasons why Michael Beale is going to be under pressure until he wins something is that this season's all about Michael Beale's recruitment. Who Michael Beale thought would enhance Rangers. And the fans, like Jamie, are looking at what they have seen so far, and we have a very long way to go, but what they've seen so far, Jamie described it as flat again. And that's the hurdle that Michael Beale has to get over, and that's why Tuesday is monumental, because as Gordon Dalziel said earlier on, and rightly, if he wins against PSV, all is forgotten temporarily.
Jamie, you've taken issue with Abdallah Sima there. What have you made of the other attacking players that have been brought in by Michael Beale?
Yeah, I thought at the start, pre-season, I thought Sam Lammers looked to be a great player. I thought he had everything. Obviously, he's not the fastest player, but I thought on the ball technically he was very gifted. But he's kind of disappointed as well, coming in at the start of the season. Obviously, Kilmarnock and Livingston, he wasn't really much the player I saw in pre-season. Dessers as well, I think Dessers is trying way too hard to get his goals. Maybe that's why he's not coming for him. But I think not selling Ryan Kent and obviously not bringing in any wingers as such. Whereas you can see down the wing, Blanos that is down against Servette. Barisic is used to Ryan Kent running down and making overlap. But I just think it's missing now. So obviously Matondo today did well. Hopefully he can come into a game and inject pace into the wings. Obviously to give his final ball can maybe be better. But I think not bringing in any wingers in the summer was obviously a bit of a miss. But I'm dreading Tuesday night against PSV. I think after the performances I've seen so far, I'm not hopeful. Hopefully they can prove me wrong, but I'm just not hopeful at all for the game.
When there are players to return, James Tavernier, Borna Barisic, John Souttar, Todd Cantwell, Nicholas Raskin, is there still a lack of confidence from you there going into Tuesday?
I think Raskin on midweek against Servette, outstanding performance. He's going to be a great player for us, I think. We'll look at hold on to him, I think, next season. Cantwell as well is another one coming back in on Tuesday night. I think he was missed today as well at the start of the game. But I just think the wing positions are where we should have strengthened maybe. Obviously bringing in all the strikers we've got, and none have really hit the ground running so far. Obviously Danilo midweek missing that absolute sitter. I'm just hoping they can go into a game and prove us all wrong, and hopefully Tuesday night we can see a boost and hopefully get a result. Sorry,
Jamie. Cyril Dessers has been singled out by a few Rangers fans for his performances. Maybe wasn't at his best today again, but finishes the game with a goal from the penalty spot and with an assist as well. Can that help him going forward? Can he take something from that today?
Yeah, him and Danilo. The more goals they score, the more confidence they're going to get. I've got to be honest, looking at all the signings, looking at the Rangers team, it's the one part of the team that's not impressed me is the front. I don't look at any of those new players that have come in, and I think Jamie makes a good point about Sima. I had not seen what he brings to the table. I know he come on against Livingston last week and made a sort of a difference with a bit of pace, but apart from that I've not seen anything that he's brought. It's the same Lammers. I watched him pre-season, I thought he's got something about him, not lived up to that. Dessers, the jury's still out, but what I'm going to say is, it's the old cliche, it's very early for these players, and I think we're too quick to judge sometimes. Yes, it's nothing better when you see like say Cantwell when he come in January and Raskin, they hit the ground running. Everybody was saying two fantastic signings, correctly so, but they were lucky. They come in and they hit the ground running. These guys haven't. But you can't just in the middle of August at the beginning just judge these guys. Have they hit the ground running? No, they've not. Whether that's taking time to adapt to the style of play, the new players, the brand of football that Rangers play, the new manager, the new coaching, different styles. So I think we've got to give them a bit of time. But it's if there's a question mark, it's in the front area for me.
You're absolutely correct in what you say. However, the problem is that early in the season, Tuesday night, your destiny in the Champions League is at stake. And the UEFA don't care that you started your season competitively on the 5th of August. Your destiny in the Champions League will be determined by Tuesday night in Glasgow and the following week in the Netherlands. So, yes, of course, Gordon's right about the time that players need, but there's a hurdle coming up, and it's an immovable hurdle. It's there, and you better cross it or else.
But I'll go back to Daz is right. Of course, we're really quick to judge players here. But from Michael Beale's point of view, he was getting praised for doing his business early because he knew what was coming. Hugh's right. He knew he had Champions League qualifiers coming up. Okay, he didn't know when he was getting Celtic, but he knew they would have been early on in the opening months of the season. He would have known he would have had this ViaPlay Cup game to deal with as well. So you know, a lot of games compacted into a short space of time at the beginning of the season, and that's why you got his transfers in at the tail end of last season and early in the pre-season campaign. But those players just haven't really clicked the way he would expect them to. But going back to the style, Jamie there talking about the wingers, and he mentioned it a number of times. That has got to be by design from Michael Beale. If you let Ryan Kent go and you let Sakala go, and you've got Scott Wright, who I don't know where Scott Wright's position at the club is at the minute.
He's been back in amongst squads. He's
back in, but he was heading out the door. So he's a winger who plays a very small part. It seems to be that he doesn't want to think about wingers. He wants to get.
He has said he does want to bring in a sort of Ryan Kent.
Do you know what I think about?
No, but that's what I was going to touch on. He's saying that now. Surely in pre-season, where you've got your plans and your recruitment plan and you're letting wingers go and you're happy to sign off in Sakala, you then think, oh, I might need a winger to come in. A bit late in the day for that.
I think he's been caught.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Have to stop that conversation there, because there has been a goal between Airdrie and Ross County. Airdrie 3, Ross County 4. And it's a goal from Eamon Brophy, a header at the back post from a Dylan Smith cross. And Ross County are back ahead in extra time.
Game. I'm just going back on to Michael Beale there quickly to finish Mark's point. I think Michael Beale's planned to play a certain way, right? I think he's planned to play the narrow 3 behind a striker, and he's brought the personnel in for that formation. And I think he's looked at the overall picture now and thought, I need an option, I need wingers, and I think he's been caught. Right, I think he's been caught short, because you do not let 2 wingers, out and out wingers, go out the building. Scott Wright, you know, has not got to play a big part. So all of a sudden you leave yourself very, very short in the areas.
Maybe it wasn't his choice that Ryan Kent left, though.
Yeah, but you've got to plan for that. You know that Ryan Kent's going out the door. He's not re-signed his contract. It's not rocket science to know that I'm going to lose him somewhere along the line. But I think he's just played this part of saying, right, this is what formation, my width's going to come from my 2 full-backs. I'm going to dominate the middle of the park, and I'm going to get rotations in there off the front men. And I think he's now sat back and looked and think, maybe he needs some wingers with a bit of pace here. And I think he's been caught a bit late.
Ravi Matondo, has he done enough to break his way into Rangers' European squad and potentially into a starting place for this week?
Well, he is a prime example. There's another one, Rabbi Matondo, who played very little part last season when Beale came in and looked like he was going out the door. All of a sudden now he's been included again, and look, the boy can only do what he did today, is take his opportunity. And in the first half, it looked great. I mean, the boy Cameron Blues at right back didn't really put a challenge in, but Matondo did what he had to do. Got the ball, used his pace, went past him. Rangers stopped feeding him for some reason in the second half, so he was at the game in that respect, and he was taken off. But now he's now getting included. So going forward, where does Matondo fit in? Is he going to be a surprise inclusion? Because there's an obvious lack of pace across the front at Rangers, and Matondo is your one that stands out.
That's the argument up, Mark, because Matondo's wasn't even in the European squad, right? He's now come out and said, as the season started, he's brought Matondo back in to be a part of it, winger. Sima, he brings on winger. He's now come out and said, I'm looking to sign a Ryan Kent, winger. So that's what backs my argument up, that his game plan, he's looked at the narrow 3 with the 2 wide full-backs given width, and he's thinking, no, I need another option. All of a sudden wingers have become important to him.
Thank you to Jamie. Mark is a Rangers fan in Partick. Mark, what did you take away from that today?
Well, I'm not happy obviously about the score. I think the team's just not gelling with a lot of different nationalities playing for Rangers. Like, they can't communicate with each other, and I just don't like that as well. But I think if Matondo gets a chance, I think he'll obviously be a good player.
I mean, I'm not sure that is the key issue. There are a lot of new players, but many of them are very strong English speakers. I don't think that's something that we can put down to as a factor. It's more just the actual gelling in terms of how players work with each other and how well they know each other on the pitch, Hugh.
Cifuentes apparently doesn't have perfect English, but is able to communicate. Celtic, with a coterie of Japanese players who couldn't speak English, won a treble. So that's not a problem. Multinational teams are commonplace. The problem, as Gordon has put it, is that Michael Beale's had an idea and now he's wondering, he's having second thoughts about his own idea. And he's also been given cause to worry slightly about the way in which players like Danilo, Dessers and Sima have taken a bit of time to hit the ground here. And the biggest complication of all is that PSV Eindhoven stand between him, the club and the Champions League. And it doesn't matter how early in the season it is, you either beat them on aggregate or you're out.
Before we go back to Mark on the line, let's get an update because it is half time of extra time between Airdrie and Ross County. There has been that goal, Lindsay Heron.
Yes, indeed, Andrew. My goodness, Ross County have got the fight of their lives with this match being sent into extra time with that late strike from Josh O'Connor, the son, of course, of Hibs legend Gary. He's on loan from Easter Road, Josh, and looks a very bright prospect indeed, having won the penalty, which got them back to 3-2, and then, of course, scoring to make it 3-3. And then early in the the first half of extra time, County got their act together. Dylan Smith down the right-hand side, lovely ball into the penalty area, nobody marking Eamon Brophy, and he coolly headed the ball past Josh Ray to give the Staggies the advantage at half-time here.
Yes, what a game that is. 3-4. 3 for Airdrie, 4 for Ross County. 15 minutes to go in the second half of extra time. Looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. Let's go back to Mark on the line, a Rangers fan. You're making some points there, Mark. Do you have confidence that with things not clicking now, do you feel they could do in the long run, or do you not feel it's going that way?
No, I don't think it's going that way. I think maybe one or two of them will click, but I think there's a few of them that not suited to the Scottish game. That I mean, I think obviously they've got to try and maybe bring another one or two in before the window shuts. I think Jake Cooper will probably come in, obviously, to replace Ben Davies. I mean, I think he'll obviously come in.
Is centre back an area that you think Michael Beale needs to look at? Is that maybe dependent on what Ben Davies' situation is?
What's happened to Ben Davies, actually? It's a good question. I just automatically forgot about him. Well, like my opinion on him last season, I didn't think he was a centre half that was going to progress Rangers. I thought when I seen him he was poor. He's probably a weak link in there, and didn't live up to his tag when he came up here. But in terms of centre half just now, Golson's obviously going to play. I think Suter started excellent this season, and of course what comes with when you mention Suter's name is his fitness. Can he stay fit? If he stays fit, he plays every single week. And I think with Balogun, look, on the whole, Balogun's a good player, experience, been at the club, got a bit of pace about him. If you saw him today right enough, you wouldn't have thought that against Oakley up front. But I think they're okay in that respect. I think there's other areas of the pitch that Michael Beale might concentrate on more than centre half.
Where specifically? Because in the centre of midfield, he's basically revamped that completely since January with the number of signings in that area. You look in the forward areas, he's done exactly the same. Yeah, well, you look at it across the pitch, he's revamped the full squad, or you would be led to believe it's a revamp. Players moving out and players moving in, people automatically think, that it's upgrades. The players have to prove it's upgrades. And I'll go back to Kent, Morelos and Cholak and Sakala you can add as well, but especially Cholak being allowed to leave the building, who scored quite a lot of goals for a guy who didn't have a lot of appearances, to be replaced by Sima, Dessers, Danilo. They have to be upgrades, and they're not showing that so far. So back to Daz, where's he going to concentrate on? Maybe he needs a spark, somebody he can rely on. Is he going to rely on Scott Wright and Matondo to pull him out a hole this season? I very much doubt it. I think if he gets someone available that the board will back him with bringing in, he'll go someone in that area rather than a centre back.
I think this will ultimately settle down, because I do believe that Michael Beale has a better squad than he had last season, and I do believe that in Cantwell and Raskin, they, along with the Tom Lawrences of this world, etc., this will all settle down. The problem he has is PSV. Before it gets a chance to settle down, he could be out of the Champions League, and that's a loss of revenue, it's a loss of prestige. and he would rather be in it than not be in it.
There's no doubt where he's going to strengthen, because I'll tell you right now, on Tuesday night, everybody could pick his goalkeeper, his back four, and his midfield three if he goes with three. It's who's got to play up top.
And that's where he's going to strengthen, you think? Despite the numbers he's already brought in that area.
I think
Danilo,
he'll
Lammers,
go for
Tessers and Seema.
Yeah, I think he's looking for an out-and-out wide man that's going to open up defences, a bit of pace, bit of trickery. Someone like, as Mark says, a Ryan Kent type on his game, may I add. I think he's looking for that type of player. But it'll be interesting on Tuesday night what front players he starts with against PSV.
Well, thank you to Mark. Get your calls in 01419511025. But before the break, let me tell you about this in case you missed it earlier on, because it's a good opportunity out there for many of you. You could win a team at the Big Scottish Golf Day. You could play King Robert the Bruce at Trump Turnberry alongside Super Scoreboard as we take on Ewan Cameron and Stephen Mill from the Big Scottish Football Show. All funds raised from the event will go to Cash for Kids to improve the lives of Scottish children affected by poverty, illness, neglect, or who have additional needs. You could be there. The prize includes a round of golf for a team of 4 with tea, coffee and bacon rolls on arrival, and a set 2-course meal post-golf in the Champion Suite. To enter, all you need to do to make a voluntary donation as well is text GOLF to 84901. Texts are charged at the standard network rate plus your £5 donation, 100% of which will go straight to Cash for Kids. You may opt out from making a charitable donation. You'll need to be 18 or over to enter. Full terms and conditions can be found on our website. You're playing across the Hits Radio Network in Scotland, and lines close at 4 o'clock on Saturday the 3rd of September.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Yes, get your calls in the open line 0141 951 1025. All the games are complete today apart from Airdrie against Ross County. It's into extra time. It's still Ross County 4, Airdrie 3. Around 8 minutes to go, I think. Is there going to be any late drama?
Well, Malcolm McCall will go off his head if there is, and it involves Airdrie and it involves a penalty shootout. As I say, he was a central defender to trade, and as a coach he'll be offended by the fact that his team were 3-1 up in regulation time and were pulled back to 3-all. So he'll want that, at the very least he'll want 4-3 to stand.
You ever got a late goal in regulation time? Can they do it again? No,
that game's over, Andrew. Rewind half an hour ago, I said the same. I cannot for the life of me see Ross County slipping up again. You know, they've let Airdrie back in a couple of times. No, I think that's job done, and Ross County will be in the hat for the next round.
Just seeing on the TV there, a first home game for Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham. First home competitive game for Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham. Just walking out the tunnel against Manchester United.
He's going to be beating the chest soon, will he?
Quite an occasion for him.
What a difference walking out at Tynecastle that night. His first, was it first game Tynecastle?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now he's walking out there. Ooh.
And where was it? Where were they last week? They drew 2-2.
Brentford.
Who
beat Fulham 3-0 away from home today.
What does Brentford's ground hold? Not that many, is it?
No, it's
comparable
not
to Tynecastle, so.
Yeah. Whereas
I just heard him on the mic there saying, I'm here for a long stay.
Here for the long stay. I used to watch Spurs when I was younger.
I'm surprised how long I'm here.
I love the supporters.
The old posters one must get wheeled out. Somebody in the PR department must say, listen, say you've got Celtic posters all over your bedroom when you were growing up. That'll get them.
Exactly. Oh, I love the stadium. I love the supporters. Oh, so who's on the phone? Sparrow.
Right, let's hear a bit from Dougie Imrie, shall we, after that defeat at Ibrox today.
A lot of positives for sure. I thought my team were terrific from start to finish, really proud of them. And I was just saying to the other guys, you know, a bad decision and a mistake for ourselves cost us the game. Listen, there'll be better teams come here, and that's no disrespect to my players that'll get battered. So on that front, like I say, I thought for the 90 minutes we were brilliant. At the end there with Big George's chance, I got a 2-2 and took it to extra time. But on the main, as a manager at Morton, I'm really proud of what this team from the guys today, especially if you look at the bench, 4 subs on the bench as well.
Yeah, they'll be able to take a lot from that today, Mark. Dougie Imrie saying as much.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, the confidence that they'll go away with, the players will be feeling high as kites. I mean, there's way to lose games, and everybody will be devastated at losing. But when they get drawn out against Rangers at Ibrox, with all these new players, unknown entities, you fear the worst if you're Morton going there. If you're a Morton player, you would have thought, if we get out here with a 2 or a 3, then we're happy. But to take Rangers to the wire and still be creating chances at the end, they've a lot to be proud of. And when they go on, they go forward in their league, they won't come up against quality like they face today individually. So, no, well done Dougie Emery. By the way, he deserves a lot of credit because they were positive when they got the ball as well. Wasn't it just a park the bus and kick it to Oakley? They committed bodies forward and they got their rewards for it.
I have still to get out of this building, passing George Bowie on the way, having tipped Rangers to win 4-0, and I guarantee you'll be sitting there with his Morton strip on. You'll have to come with me, Andrew.
As a bodyguard.
You're Terry McCann, you mind it.
01419511025. Robert is a Celtic fan in Hillington. Robert, what's on your mind tonight?
Hello, panel. First time caller.
Good to hear from you.
I would just like to ask, it's a question I'm going to ask you. It's about the Rangers penalty. Now, before VAR had told the referee what was going to happen, the referee had made a decision to let 3 subs go off the park. Now, for some reason, I don't know why he ran over. The referee runs over, takes the 3rd sub by the hand and tells him to stay on. Right? Now, I don't know if there's a rule somewhere if they made the subs or whatever, but I would like to say, does anybody know why he was run over?
Yeah, because essentially they need to stop play at that point. They can't make Rangers let Rangers make any changes, because essentially whatever happens afterwards, if they need to go and make a penalty call and it goes to a penalty, then they essentially need to have the same players on the park. I think it's just a blanket decision based on a number of different scenarios that can happen across VAR. Okay. You just don't see it that regularly.
On that decision,
yes.
Now we've got 2 referees in VAR. Why do they have to go to him? Why do they not make the decision and say it's either a penalty or no penalty? It's almost as if they're putting it back on to him.
They also did the same for the Morton penalty as well, though.
Yeah, I know they did. So what's the use of VAR if they're not going to make decisions?
Well,
they're putting it back onto the ref.
Well, that's the way VAR works. They recommend to the referee that he may want to have another look at it. This is the way it's always worked since it came in.
Robert's trying very hard to come up with some elaborate plot here that kept Rangers in the competition. Now, we've given Rangers...
When the referee holds a Rangers player's hand.
No, Robert, you're trying very hard to come up with some elaborate plot here.
No. That's not true. That isn't true.
I mean, that's just admin at that point, really.
Yeah.
He needs to stop the substitutions, because at that point the game then moves on once the substitutions are made.
A player may have had to be sent off, something.
That's essentially the big reason. Say the VAR incident was one of the Rangers players and it was a red card incident, and he's allowed Rangers to substitute off 3 players. It then becomes complicated because he then has to send someone off who's just been substituted. Do you get that side of it, Robert?
Yeah, I get that side of it.
So it's just a blanket rule across all decisions that they do it.
VAR did its job. No one, including Gordon Dalziel in the studio, thought that it was a penalty when Kirk Broadfoot went down. And then, to his credit, Gordon looked at it again and noticed that Dessers had gone to ground having hurt his foot, and he hurt his foot hitting Kirk Broadfoot's foot. So penalty given by VAR correctly. Likewise, none of us caught the fistful of Rangers jersey that the Morton defender had. VAR caught it. Penalty given justifiably. There is no plot. There is no conspiracy. VAR did its job.
I'm not mentioning. I'm just querying a few decisions that the referee made.
Yeah. Did you think they were both penalties, Robert?
Yes. Look, if you go by the law, but there's a lot of times that VAR will not tell the referee about the pool.
But if you thought they were both penalties, what is your problem?
I'm not questioning. What I'm saying is, some people in the VAR studio will not have made or say to the referee, you'll need to look at that. If you look back to last year, Celtic and Hearts, the player it's a clear penalty to Celtic. The referee didn't even go to VAR, or didn't even ask VAR, or VAR didn't come to him. So what's that decision all about?
The thing is, every decision is different, and it's whether some are black and white, some are down to opinion as well, Hugh. We're arguing here about a penalty that Robert feels was a penalty.
I have to admit now, being lost
But what I would say, I don't know if this is the argument Robert's going in with the shirt pull. Now, we didn't see anything at the time.
Yep.
Even in the replay, the first replay, we were kind of confused because we just thought Balogun, Kurt Broadfoot had his hand out and they lost him for a bit and Balogun missed. It was only in the third time we saw a shirt pull with Kurt Broadfoot, and he didn't need to do it, of course, and the shirt comes out. Now that's going to happen an awful lot this season, Andrew. An awful lot in the penalty box. And it's just a natural habit of defenders when you're getting close to your striker, especially in those set piece situations. You quite often put your hand in his jersey and you've got a wee. Now,
was that a penalty in your opinion?
If somebody moves and the shirt comes out, then of course it's going to look like a shirt pull. So
was that a penalty in your opinion?
Well, I was given that because
no, your opinion's a penalty.
Yeah, with the rules for a shirt
pull. We'll get new Robert on the phone here.
No, why is that?
What I'm saying is,
against
you, it was a penalty kick.
You're essentially just saying that
what I'm going to say
you're
is
expecting it'll be consistent across the board for this season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be an awful lot of penalties. If that's the standard, if shirt pulls and VAR has to look at them all, then there's going to be more penalties this season than we even seen last season, which is no bad thing. But
essentially it's good work by VAR, because you're saying that we didn't notice it in the first couple of replays, and then it turned out that it was quite a clear.
See, shirt plays. Mark's right. There's got to be a lot because it happens, right, in shirt pulls. But I think the difference with this one was Balogun was getting into a position potentially he can score a goal, right, and Broadfoot pulls his shirt back. So it's Mark, I know his argument, but he's saying it's a penalty. Robert's saying it's a penalty. I'm saying it's a penalty. Hugh. So we'll all agree. VAR is there to assist the referee and let him know, have a look at that. The referee looked at it and he came to the right decision. You can't argue with it.
Robert, your team in action tomorrow. Do you feel that Gustav Lagerbielke should be thrown straight in?
Definitely, 100%. I've watched a bit of one line in that, and I feel he's ready. The boy's ready. He's at the right age, and I hope he'll do well. But I feel comfortable with Celtic tomorrow for some reason. I know Command have been started really well, but I just feel that Celtic are going every game they're going up a notch, and I feel tomorrow we'll show it against Command.
The thing about Lagerbielke, last weekend he was playing in Sweden. He is well into the Swedish season. He is arguably fitter than any other Celtic player who'll be on the park in Kilmarnock.
It's not just about fitness though, it's about coming into a new team and a new environment with players he basically doesn't know really that well and just being thrown into it.
But I'm afraid Celtic's need is great. They do not have a central defender because of the problem with Carter Vickers, because of the problem with Stephen Welsh, and he's there. Now, I do understand it's a baptism of fire, a cup tie in an away ground with a synthetic pitch, which incidentally he's well used to because they're all over Sweden. But Celtic need him, and he doesn't have time for psychological help. He's got Rangers on the 3rd of September and the Champions League thereafter.
Well, thank you to Robert. Let's go to the Excelsior Stadium because it is full time between Airdrie and Ross County. Lindsay Heron.
Yeah, and the final score here, Andrew, is Airdrie 3, Ross County 4. Eamon Brophy was the man who spared County's blushes and broke the Diamonds' hearts with a clinical header to take Malky Mackay's side into the last 8. But what should have been a saunter was a slog for the Staggies as they blew a 3-1 lead to be forced into extra time. It had started so well when Kyle Turner curled in a cracking shot to put them ahead and then set up Jordan White for a second inside 7 minutes. Callum Gallagher got Airdrie back in it after brilliant work from Adam Frizzell 9 minutes before half-time. But County restored their 2-goal advantage 2 minutes later when Simon Murray latched on to James Brown's long ball and fired past Josh Ray. It seemed that they tried to manage the second half instead of trying to kill off the Diamonds, and they paid the price. Super sub Josh O'Connor, on loan from Hibs, where his dad Gary was such a hero, won a penalty in 82 minutes when Jack Baldwin brought him down and Gallagher slotted the spot kick. Then O'Connor slammed a sensational lever in the last minute to force extra time. However, 4 minutes before the end of the first period, County crucially went ahead again. It was a simple goal as Dylan Smith crossed from the right and Brophy was completely unmarked as he headed past Josh Ray from 6 yards. A tough day for Diamonds, but a great day for Ross County in the end as they make it into the quarter-finals. The final score here in Airdrie is Airdrie 3, Ross County 4.
Yes, what a game between those sides. Ross County in the hat. It could have been a lot easier, Hugh, but they got there in the end.
Yeah, and that's all that will matter to Malky Mackay, although there'll be a long inquest on the bus going up the A9 as to why a 3-1 lead led to extra time. But they're in the draw, made tomorrow at Rugby Park after the Celtic game there, and it's progress.
Well, let's hear a bit from Stuart Kettlewell, actually. I think some interesting comments following their defeat to St Mirren today.
I'm really annoyed and angered at the tackle that comes onto a striker, which, by the way, as a young lad we have on loan for Arsenal, and we talk about protecting these creative players and all the rest of it. I think that's just words sometimes, I really do. I think that we have to do more to try and protect them, because it's a bad tackle. He's struggling, he's struggling to put weight on it, and that would generally tell you that this is going to start to get worse through time. So no kind of summary of what the actual injury is just now. The one thing I know is that he's struggling, and he has a fair bit of pain in the inside of his knees.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with that challenge at all. I think David Friel actually said that he described it as one of the worst he's seen.
Well, yeah, I'll take David's word for it, and happily. But it'd be wrong of us to go.
Not David said that. Stuart Kettlewell also said that. I should add, it wasn't David that said it himself.
Well, anyway, I'll happily take Stuart Kettlewell's word for it. But it's impossible for any of us here to comment further, because you can't comment on something that you didn't see.
Yep, they're pretty much the same as Hugh. He sounds pretty riled up there, and if it is as bad as he makes out, then of course he's got a point. No, not just about protecting young players, about protecting all players. Stuart Keltwell, it's pretty narrowed in young players because that's his background, and it's understandable, but we've not seen it yet, Andrew. We'll see it in the highlights later on, but he's obviously upset, and his team's of course out the club.
Yeah, and we wish a young lad a speedy recovery, because he's had a good start to his small career last weekend, and obviously it's went a bit sore with that injury. Hopefully he'll be okay.
Final time to get your calls in tonight. 01419511025.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
You can still get your calls in. 01419511025. Plenty of action today. Rangers with that early 2-1 win over Morton, although quite a few Rangers fans on the phones not convinced by that performance at all. There was an absolute cracker between Airdrie and Ross County. Ross County with a 4-3 win in the end. St Mirren beating Motherwell, and Livingston coming through against Ayr United as well. Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham on the TV against Manchester United. How are they looking, Mark?
Well, they started brilliantly in the first about 2 minutes, where they popped the ball through the goalkeeper all the way through the team and got the ball into Manchester United box. Look a bit shaky after that. But, he's stepping up a level here. There's no doubt about it. He will be punished. His team will be punished for mistakes. So they need to be brave to adapt to his way of thinking. And be good to see as the season goes on, if he's got another plan, when he comes up against the top teams, or he plays the same way as he did in the Champions League, with Celtic.
Does this count as playing against one of the top teams? You'd maybe expect Manchester United to finish in the top 4 this season.
I think they will finish in the top 4 this season. But I think they're
doesn't look as if he's
nicely
changed his plan for this game.
No, really. They look the same way. Look to do some of the same things that Celtic did. But the pace, you just look at the pace of both teams at this level. A big, step up in quality. So be interesting to see how the season ticks away, but I think the Spurs fans will be happy.
From the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to the Tony Macaroni Arena, because David Martindale's had a few things to say after their 2-0 win over Ayr.
I don't think there's a lot between teams at this level. I've said it, like the bottom 6 in the Premier League and the top 5 in the Champ. I genuinely don't think there's a lot there. Delighted to be in the next round. I think cup football, yes, you want the performance, but over that you want the results. So I think when it comes to cup football, it probably comes to any game of football, you're taking the result before performance. You want both, obviously. Second half I thought we were a lot better, and we created some good chances on the counter, which I think we've got to execute better when we do get in the final third. I do think there's one for the social media. I do think the part was a wee bit sticky, and it never helped the game at times today. But again, a sticky part's good enough for Messi, it's good enough for me, so we'll leave that at that.
Good enough for Messi. You see those quotes during the week?
Yeah.
Lionel Messi saying that he's more than happy playing on artificial surfaces in MLS, but there's a sort of admission there from David Martindale that, artificial surfaces, as much as they do help clubs like Livingston, he felt it wasn't in the best nick today.
They should be outlawed. and I have beat that drum for a long time. They should be outlawed at the highest level. Championship, League 1, League 2, okay, let them have it for financial reasons. But the first thing he did there, David Martindale, was make sure that he made the point that, there's not much of a gap between the bottom 6 and the top 6 in the Championship, just in case anyone thinks, that was a kind of ropey performance you had there. So good luck to him. He's in the draw, and he continues to be, for me, a miracle worker at Livingston. How he keeps them up, I don't know.
I think he makes a good point, but what I think he was saying, Hugh, about, and I do agree with what he said about the bottom 6 and the top 6 of the Championship, there's not a great deal. I think he's talking about cup football, because you're not. Listen, if he went along there and got a result today, it wouldn't be the biggest shock in Livingston's history. There's teams that can go in that Championship. Dundee United's in the Championship. If they drew Ross County in the Premier League, Dundee United might be favourites. So I think what he's saying is correct, but he'll be delighted to be in the next round.
Well, let's go back to the phones. Jim is a Rangers fan in Kilmarnock. Jim, happy or not happy with what you saw today?
Well, it's another hard watch. The football we're playing, it's a really tough watch just now. And looking at that, a lot of fans pay a lot of money to go to football. They sacrifice a lot of things as well. And going and watching the football, I'm not a big fan of Michael Beale, but I don't think the fans are getting value for money at Rangers just now. The performances are very disappointing. That was another struggle today to watch. We're not coming away from the stadium with our tails wagging, talking about X, Y and Z, who all played well, they played well, we played really good football. I'm struggling to see what formation and tactics Michael Beale's playing just now. It's a really tough watch just now. Things really need to change, and I get there's a few players just in the door, but Michael Beale's been here for nearly 10 months at Rangers. He's not just in the door. So I think things need to improve quite quickly, especially with the tough games coming up. They're going to have to click quite soon, because PSV is a massive game financially. Ross County's a tough game to go away, especially the way we're playing just now, and then we get PSV, then Celtic again. So that's 4 hard games. We're going to have to hopefully come away with something, or there's more pressure added on to them. We lost a life when we lost against Kilmarnock, and you don't get many lives as a Rangers manager, so it can't continue. We really need to change things quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Beale has said a couple of times after the last couple of games, it's been a long week, but those are just going to continue. Rangers are going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, all legitimate points there from Jim. I think a hard watch. He says they're not going away from the stadium with their tails wagging, talking about players coming and lighting up the stadium. That is a concern.
The thing is, it's not as if that is something that Michael Beale is trying to implement. He's not sending them out there to play, horrible Route 1 football that's sending the fans away unhappy. He's trying something that's just not working at the moment.
It's not
as much as he would like.
Yeah.
However, of course, they did still win today. But they did still get through against Servette. Yeah. They did beat Livingston.
But the fans are seeing these first 5 games, and including the 2 European games in that, as underwhelming. Now, Jim's making a good point there in the respect that Michael Beale hasn't come in the door along with these 9 players. Michael Beale's been there for a fair length of time now, and I get different players in the building maybe means a different style, but you would tend to impose yourself early on and build something up over 10 months. It seems like he ripped everything up for last season and is trying something new this season. Now, if that doesn't work, then Jim's right. You only get so many lives as Celtic and Rangers managers before the fans say, no, had enough. So may take time to develop, but I keep going back to it. It needs to develop quicker than it is doing at the minute.
The most telling point that Jim makes is that in our wee world here, Michael Beale has to get a good result against PSV. Otherwise, if it's not a good result, he carries the strain into Dingwall next Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. And if anything goes wrong there, the strain increases, and he's taking it to the Netherlands with him. And after the Netherlands, it's Celtic. So the next 4 games for Michael Beale are crucial. Crucial in the eyes of the fans. He's got to have a team. Jim says it's a hard watch. It's got to stop being a hard watch, and it's got to start being a good watch with more positive performances.
Jim, has that game highlighted to you anyone specifically that should or shouldn't be starting on Tuesday?
thought Matondo played well, but what we've got to remember is it's at a higher level we're playing on Tuesday night. But I think a player like Matondo with speed could maybe cause problems, because they're not going to sit back the way maybe Kilmarnock or Livingston or somebody would do when they come to Ibrox. They're probably going to go for it. So it might create a bit of space for players like Matondo. But okay, I don't know who I would pick and who I would drop. It's quite tough just now. There's no many of them in form. Can't really asking us obviously starters and another few who's are obvious starters. But I see at the Dessers, I don't know if I'm a big fan of it. I really like Cholak. I was quite disappointed when we sold him. I thought he was a proper goal scorer, but I heard many fans, especially a lot amongst a lot of my friends, saying Cholak didn't fit Beale's system. I'm still struggling to see, and so is a lot of other fans, struggling to see what Beale's system really is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm the exact same. I'm not taken by the style of football. I think the biggest problem for us all, I think we all fell into this trap. Michael Beale has got this reputation of being a fantastic coach. He's been in the building 10 months. Everybody thought he was coming into Scottish football to reinvent the wheel. It's certainly not happened, because I'm with the caller there, is it Jim? And the fact of watching Rangers, they don't excite me. Don't get me off my seat. They're winning games. I still say give them time. They've got a lot of work to be done. And Hugh rounds off 4 games there. They could go through a patch where in 4 games time he could be the best manager in the world as far as Rangers, because the results could go for him.
Yep.
Right, it's as easy as that. It's fine lines. But I do agree with the Rangers fans just now. He's not. I just think we were expecting too much of Michael Beale. I thought we were going to have this interchanging play and fast play. I think that was Michael Beale in my ear. But I just still say give it time. There's a lot of important games coming up. But I'm the exact same. I don't see the formation, the rotations, everything that he promised so far.
Does that make it harder for fans to get on board, Mark, that if they were watching something that had or looked as if it had a clear idea and a clear system, that they could see, right, I can see what he's doing there, it's maybe not just clicking because there are new players. Michael Beale does seem to be changing it a lot. Yes, he's gone for this sort of 4-3-1-2 quite a lot, but then Rangers actually worked better against Livingston when they went with 2 wide players. You then looked at it today and they played with a back 3 for a while, which they also did against Livingston. So it is chopping and changing. Is it maybe hard for fans to focus in and be like, right, okay, I can see exactly what he's doing here?
Like the prime example was when Postecoglou came in and he lost 3 his first 6 games, but the fans could see that there was something different here at play, and he was trying to work with these inverted fullbacks, and it was maybe going to take a bit of time. So they bought into that. With Rangers it's changing a lot. Now I don't think there's anything wrong with having a plan A and a plan B, because we've stood here before and we have had a go at managers for basically having a plan A, and if plan A doesn't work, then go to whatever the saying was it, if plan A doesn't work, then
plan A better.
Make plan A better, right? And that's nonsense. You need to have a different style of play. It's just unusual to see it this early in the season. Plan A is not working within a couple of minutes or 45 minutes, let's change it, or 60 minutes, let's change it. 5 games into the season, that usually comes along later. So that's a concern. Time will tell. Big 4 games coming up for Michael Beale. Results are one thing, but performances, David Martindale just mentioned it there, results are key, but if you get the performances to match, then everything's rosy.
Jim, where are your confidence levels that things can improve under Michael Beale?
The only thing we've got on his side is the club just new, and you've got to remember they've moved to other countries, they've maybe not got their family, their wives, their kids here. It might be taking them a wee while to settle in than what we would like as fans, but things need to change quickly. As we were saying in the beginning of the call, you don't get many chances at Rangers or Celtic. If the results don't improve, the fans will turn the pressure. You've got to remember as well, James Bisgrove and John Bennett are in now. Was it Ross Wilson and Stuart Robertson it was in when Michael Beale was picked as the Rangers manager? I don't know if it was Ross Wilson and Robertson that had the biggest input in Beale coming here. I don't think Bisgrove would stand for too many bad results, but obviously we've got to give them time. But he needs to change quickly. The performances need to improve. See if we'd won maybe like we had played convincing football, fast flowing football, you could see players starting to kind of come on a wee bit. We're not seeing them improving week after week. They're stale. They don't seem to be moving forward.
And Michael Beale has said himself in the last couple of weeks that he wants to have a more consistent look to his starting lineup, but he doesn't really seem to be any closer to knowing what his strongest team is.
And as Gordon Dalziel has been pointing out all day, that is mainly focused on the players up front, and that's what he has to get right, and quickly.
Hugh, it has been an eventful day of Scottish football.
Well,
what are your main takeaways?
The menu for the last 8 draw tomorrow is so far Livy, Ross County, Rangers, Aberdeen, St Mirren. If there is a lesson for Celtic, Hibs and Hearts who play tomorrow, take nothing for granted, because Rangers had a narrow squeak 2-1 against Morton, and last night Aberdeen had a narrow squeak against Stirling Albion. Take nothing for granted. You're going to have to work for your place in the draw tomorrow.
Yeah, looking forward to those matches tomorrow. Hearts against Partick Thistle at 2 o'clock. Hibs against Wraith Rovers at 2 o'clock as well. And Kilmarnock host Celtic at 3 o'clock. But hopefully it's got as much action as today did. But thank you very much for all your calls today. Thank you for listening in at home, and thank you for your tweets as well. Thanks to Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel in the studio. The guys will be back on Monday night with all the reaction to this weekend's League Cup games.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast with Lookers Motor Group. Land Rover Glasgow North has now relocated to Hillington Park, Glasgow.